Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming out on such a cold, chilly evening. It's great to see so many people that made it out tonight for our top Tigers. Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m., January 22nd, 2025. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education. Ms. Stokoe, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Here.
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. White?
Ms. White is joining us via Zoom this evening. She was not able to come for extenuating circumstances, but she didn't want to miss the meeting, and so she's here electronically this evening. Item B, approval of the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda of the January 22nd, 2025 Board of Education meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Stokoe, please call the roll.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye. Item C, opening ceremony, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, they must notify the superintendent and/or board president of this topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device, as shown on the screen. For your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda may be found on the table by the sign-in book. Thank you. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is February 12th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library. And now for our pledge and welcome, Ms. Stokoe.
Thank you. Please stand if you're able. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City School District, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. The board's strategic plan goals are as follows. School safety. We aspire to have a welcoming environment that ensures that the physical and social well-being needs of every student and staff member are met. Academic growth. We aspire to have a significant growth through personalized education for all students. We aspire to improve graduation rates so that our students are prepared for employment, enrollment, and enlistment. Engagement, inclusion, and diversity. We will ensure that every student has access to resources they need when they need it in order to be successful. And technology and systems integration. We aspire to create safe, secure, and efficient technology systems to support high-quality teaching, learning, and district operations.
Thank you, Ms. Stokoe. Item D is presentations. First up is Ms. Stokoe and Dr. Selico.
Good evening. I should get a much warmer welcome, especially from the students in the room. Should we point out the obvious? I just gave you 2 days off. I mean, shouldn't we be happy? I mean, I'm not. It pains me to not be in school for all of you because we miss you and we need you here, but it was pretty bitterly cold, and we have to admit. These are never easy decisions. Last week was terrible. I was sweating, pacing up and down my floor. Just for probably 2 hours. Superintendents really don't sleep the night before snow's coming, just so you all know. We're like sleeping like this with one eye open. I'm getting out, looking out the window, looking at the roads, calling, looking at cameras. It's just the worst part of the superintendent's job. You would think there'd be much worse things, but there's really not. Calling off school is the most difficult. These were kind of easy because everyone joined in. 2 days off, the cold, can't argue with that. It's those mornings that you don't know what when the snow's gonna come in, and it usually does between like 6 and 8 in the morning, right when I need it not to come in. So, but we're glad you're here this evening, so thank you. This is Ms. Stoikoy, my partner here is our treasurer and CFO of our district. So.
Get lots of sleep.
She gets lots of sleep. Yeah, this is when like superintendents want to be treasurers sometimes, you know, like we don't have to worry about those decisions, but. Yeah, not many people do, but it's all right. It's a great job most days. So we have 2 things that we want to do this evening. First, we want to open up. I want to first acknowledge Ms. Coco is our new president for the Board of Education, so congratulations to her. And Ms. Stoikoy and I would like to acknowledge our outgoing president, Mr. Gomez, who has been doing it for 3 years. I think he had 3 terms. And so we just want to say thank you to all of his work and guidance and getting us through some transition times and just his dedication. I mean, all of them, but Mr. Gomez's dedication, his attention to detail is insane. So I know that we always have a backup and then we have a backup to a backup, but Mr. Gomez is always going to catch something, and we really appreciate his keen eye and his good advice that he gives us. But we want to just say thank you to you, so we have an award for you this evening. Here's the box for it. Thank you. And if you love it, Mr. Jones picked it out. If you love it, I picked it out. If you don't like it, Mr. Jones picked it out. So, all right. So again, thank you for your leadership. Next, I'm not sure if you're aware, but January is always the Board of Education Appreciation Month, and generally, because the first meeting is a lot of business to open up the year, I always wait to the second meeting we do to recognize our board members, and this one kind of came back to bite me a little bit because we can only give you part of our fun this evening. You'll have to wait for part 2 because our students were out of school the last 2 days, which pushed things back on your gift, which you are going to love, and it is amazing because of our students made it, but they really do such an amazing job. But this month's theme, or this year, is school board members is superheroes. So we had a little fun with this one. And your gifts from the children will also reflect, and it's too bad that they're not here this evening to give them to you because it all ties together very nicely. But we'll hold off on their gifts, but first I'm going to have Aiden is here this evening to tell you about Board of Education Month. Aiden, come on forward. Thank you. I'm going to give Aiden the podium and then followed by Ms. Stoikoy. Thanks, Aiden.
School board members exemplify local citizen control and decision-making in education. They volunteer hundreds of hours and an immeasurable amount of energy to ensure that our schools are providing the best education possible for the children of our community. For all of their dedication, we are taking this opportunity to show them our appreciation during School Board Recognition Month. School board members are citizens whose decisions affect our children. What they learn, who will teach them, and what kinds of facilities house their classrooms. These men and women elected to establish the policies to provide the framework for our public schools represent you. And they take this responsibility seriously by attending lengthy, sometimes challenging, meetings, conferences, and institutes where they broaden their knowledge about education during numerous conversations about the schools and sessions before the Ohio General Assembly. Our school board is one of more than 700 such school boards across the state. These boards enable us to have local control of public schools, meaning that local elected representatives who understand the community's unique problems, values, culture, and circumstances make decisions on school programming. With the advice and counsel of the educational professionals they hire, our school board has an impact on virtually every aspect of our schools. It is a huge responsibility and one that should not be taken lightly. Too often, we neglect to recognize the dedication and hard work of these men and women who represent us. The staff and students of our school district are asking all local citizens to take a moment to tell their school board member, thanks for caring about our children's education. So thank you to the dedicated men and women who make it all possible for local citizens to have a say about education in our communities. We value the public servants of the Cuyahoga Falls City School District whose dedication and civic responsibility make local control of the schools, of the public schools in our community possible. We applaud them for the vision and voice to help shape a better tomorrow.
Aiden didn't have any time to rehearse that. I kind of threw it on him this evening and said, here you go, and he was such a good sport to do that. We planned it ahead, but I don't know that he saw it in advance. So thank you, Aiden, for doing that this evening. Yeah. And just to echo that, and before Ms. Stoyko officially reads the resolution, we're just very pleased, and I know Ms. Stoyko will speak for herself, but I can't say enough about this board and the support that they give to not only us in our administration, but our students. They hear the same speech all the time, and one of these days I'll come up with something new. But I'm just amazed at the time that they do dedicate to be at events, to be in schools, to speak with me, to spend time reading these agendas. There's a lot that goes into this that people do not recognize, and these people, the 5 of them, are just so dedicated. Ms. White is online, so dedicated to this district, and they deserve a big round of applause. So thank you.
Dr. Selico stole all my thunder, so ditto. This is Mr. Gomez's favorite part, the proclamation. Whereas our community values a quality education as a vital step along the pathway to success for our children, and whereas Ms. Coco, Mr. Gomez, Ms. White, Mrs. Schaefer, and Mr. Harris contribute greatly to this community through their service on the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education, and whereas these local decision makers set the policies and procedures to govern all aspects of school district operation, and whereas the school board keeps attention focused on progress toward the school district's goals and maintains a two-way communications loop with all the segments of the community, and whereas these school board members are serving our community with integrity, honor, and a commitment to our children's futures. Now, therefore, I, Christy Stoyko, do hereby, and Dr. Selico, I'll throw you in there too. You can be do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the Cuyahoga Falls Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education, and proclaim the month of January 2025 as School Board Recognition Month in Cuyahoga Falls City Schools. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members, and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children.
So we'll call you up one at a time for your superhero excitements. And like I said, part 2, we'll just, because I'm hoping that the children will be able to deliver them to you next meeting. So we'll do part 2. So just keep in mind, don't forget, superhero theme, okay? So our first person is Miss Coco. Come on up. Fearless leader. Dun, dun, dun.
You know, this is a challenge for me to wear this.
Well, you can take it off as soon as before you do.
You will see this at events.
There you go. And your mask. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Oh, Mrs. Schaefer, I'm saying, yeah, Mrs. Schaefer, sorry. Who's on first? We'll get it together. All right. It's our superhero. See if the board can answer this question. I said, these are kind of silly, but there's one person on the board who will love this and probably wear it many places. Who do you think that one person would be?
Carrie.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Yeah. Mr. Harris.
I forgot the most important part.
Okay, ready? I know.
Yes.
The anointment. Here, you can hold my tag.
There we go. Awesome.
Okay, thank you. All right. And Mr. Gomez. evaluation tonight. And I said, well, then I think I should get extra credit. Don't you all kids? Don't you agree? Thank you. All right. Yeah.
All your ideas.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, thank you again, and we'll give Mrs. White hers as well. So that, and then again, part 2 will come next meeting. Thank you. All right.
Should we wear our capes next week?
Should you wear it, I'm sorry? Next week? Yes. You should.
We can wear them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is annually the worst part of being on the school board is being recognized. So I'm very excited because next what Ms. Coco gets to announce is refocusing us on what's important is we get to celebrate a really great educator whose classroom I've gotten to visit and see her in action. And then we get to celebrate students, which is what we're really here for.
Absolutely. Yes, item 2 is the Staff Star Award. And I will say that what's coming next, the staff and our students are the real superheroes and the reason that we are here and the reason that we dedicate so much time to this district is for our students, and we appreciate our superhero staff. So, Ms. Bogdan?
Good evening. I get to continue the theme of superheroes, like what Ms. Coco was saying. So every month, we recognize a staff member as our staff shining star. And this month, I definitely am honored to recognize an intervention specialist from Richardson. And before I call her up, I want to call the principal of Richardson up, Ms. Terlange, and the person that nominated her, Ms. Lydia Taraji, up to the podium because Ms. Taraji is going to speak on her behalf. So, without further ado, our January staff shining star is the intervention specialist at Richardson, Ms. Deanne Clemens. Come on up.
It's about time. Very well deserved.
Well, hello. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out on this coldest of nights. To the families to celebrate your child's success in receiving the Top Tiger Awards, welcome. And in our case, to all the teachers and staff that have come to celebrate the success of one of our own, our Staff Shining Star Award recipient, Deanne Clemens. When I was asked if I could say a few words about Deanne tonight, I said yes, absolutely. Deanne embodies everything that this award stands for: dedication, compassion, and a relentless belief in the potential of every child. She has consistently gone above and beyond for her students, families, and colleagues, leaving an indelible mark on her school community. Deanne is a dedicated intervention specialist with over 20 years' experience, whose unwavering commitment to her students is transforming their lives and inspiring both students and staff. While many might focus solely on a child's disability, Deanne chooses to see beyond all that. She sees the whole child, their strengths, their unique potential, and the boundless possibilities within them. Deanne's commitment to her students is extraordinary. She does not allow physical or mental challenges to define a child. Instead, she focuses on advancing each student to their highest potential, designing individualized education plans that are both strategic and compassionate. Her focus is never on limitations, but on fostering confidence, nurturing talents, and building opportunities for success. One key area of impact has been her implementing innovative teaching methods among her students that have improved student engagement and academic performance among her students with special needs ranging from kindergarten through 5th grade. What truly sets Deanne apart is her humility, professionalism, and leadership. She does not seek recognition or a pat in the back for her efforts. And I'm thinking she's feeling pretty uncomfortable right about now with all the attention she's getting tonight. But her sole focus is on her students' growth and well-being. In addition, Deanne serves as a mentor teacher, a member of the building and district leadership teams, and as a union representative for our CFEA. In these roles, she's a strong advocate for all of us teachers, ensuring our voices are heard and our concerns addressed. Her leadership and dedication have played a significant role in enhancing both student achievement and staff morale. Deanne exemplifies leadership that is rooted in collaboration, respect, and a commitment to excellence. Her ability to build strong relationships further amplifies her impact. She has an excellent rapport with families and coworkers at Richardson, fostering a sense of trust and teamwork that benefits everyone involved. Her communication is clear, empathetic, and inclusive, making families feel valued and connected while strengthening her colleagues' ability to collaborate effectively. Deanne's work is a powerful reminder of what education can achieve when driven by compassion, inclusivity, and an unrelenting belief in every child's potential. She embodies the ideals of our school community that are fostering an environment where every student and teacher is valued, celebrated, and empowered to succeed. I know I'm not alone when I say that Deanne is authentic, truly one of a kind, or as my students would say, she's the OG of special education. And her contributions will undoubtedly leave a positive legacy for years to come. Deanne, on behalf of all the students, families, teachers, and staff at Richardson, thank you for everything that you do. You are so deeply appreciated and valued, and lastly, deserving of this Staff Shining Star Award tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do not seek the limelight at all. This is very uncomfortable for me. However, I will just say that I've been an educator here in Cuyahoga Falls for 23 years. My husband Kurt and I raised our 4 daughters here, and they have gone on to lead very successful lives. I'm very proud to be a Black Tiger and proud to live in this community of Cuyahoga Falls. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is our top tigers. Dr. Selleck.
Thank you. All right, boys and girls, we're ready. Are you ready? This is a quiet group. Like, we've been sleeping for 5 days. You act like you've been off school for 5 days. I mean, we got to get back in it, people. We got a lot of work to do. My kids have actually been off for 6 days because they didn't have school Thursday, Friday of last week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they've been at home a long time. It is time to get back to school for all of us. I need to get back in a routine myself. So, all right, let's wake up because we have a lot of fun. All right, I need everybody to pay attention, all right, because we're going to give you some directions. So let me tell you a little bit about Top Tiger and why we're here this evening. So the Top Tiger is an award given by our Board of Education, who you just heard so much about, to students from each building each month. The students are chosen by various staff members in their buildings, and I get the honor of reading about each one of you. I'm going to ask that when I announce your name, so listen carefully in case you're the first person to come up, you're going to come forward, you're going to stand right here. Mrs. Schaefer is going to help me this evening. She's going to give out some goodies to you, including a wonderful Top Tiger sign that you could put in your yard or in a window, whatever you prefer. And those are compliments of CFEA, which is our teachers union, and Mrs. Davison is here to represent them this evening. So we're very grateful for what you have given to us and our students. And then after you get all of those things, you'll get that actually later. You'll get some goodies here. I'm going to read about you. You're going to face the audience. And then afterwards, Miss Stewart is right here. You're going to get your picture taken. Lots of directions. My daughter would have been woo already. Okay, Miss Stewart will direct you to get a picture. And then you will go back to your seats. At the end, after everyone's name has been called, we'll go across the hall. That's when you'll get your sign, and you'll hear more about that from Ms. Moffitt in just a moment. But we'll take a group photo, and families, you'll also get a chance to take pictures, and you can also do so here in just a moment. So before we start that presentation, I'd like to also mention that many generous community sponsors support our students and are very giving. And so what you'll see are some of those partners that we have. And one person that's here with us this evening from the Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association, actually there's two, but Ms. Moffitt, I believe, is going to speak with you this evening and tell you a little bit more about the foundation and their involvement in this process. So thank you, Dan and Kathy. Okay.
Thank you. We'll keep this short and sweet since all of our top Tigers have had such impeccable manners this evening. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for coming this evening on such a cold night. My name is Kathy Taylor Moffitt, and I am Vice President of the Foundation. Mr. Argenis is a trustee with our organization, and it is our role to raise money to support our students in the system. We do many things, including the Memorial Day Parade, which you top Tigers will be welcome to join us with. And also, we raise money for scholarships and teacher grants. And we would like to tell you that we give over $150,000 a year for our student scholarships to the tune of over $1 million since our organization has been founded. So we're very proud of that. We're also very proud of the work that we do, and we would like to see many of you folks who are looking for something to do in your spare time to come and join us. We have meetings once a month, and you're welcome to be with us. But tonight it's about you, so we want to thank you for coming, and we want to thank our board for supporting us because it's a team effort to bring this together. So thank you so much. We will be meeting you across the hall. Please sit down at a desk, or I'm sorry, a table. Sorry, I used to teach kindergarten. So at a table and with your family, and then you will have your picture taken, and then we will be calling you up so that we can give you your Top Tiger t-shirt, which you need to hang on to so that you can wear for our Memorial Day Parade. Thank you.
All right, thank you again, Ms. Moffitt. And we are ready to begin. Ms. Schaefer, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. Who do we start with? Who knows? Who's been here before for a Top Tiger? I know one or two families I saw the names on there have repeats. Okay. All right, we're going to start with DeWitt. It's very scientific, alphabetical order. All right, from DeWitt, our first student is Landon Lipinski. All right, Landon is an exceptional student who embodies the spirit of a Top Tiger. He arrives at school each day with a cheerful disposition, eager to learn and engage in new challenges. Landon consistently demonstrates dedication and diligence by completing all assignments to the best of his ability. His preparedness for each day's lessons is commendable, and his friendly nature makes him well liked by his peers. Landon's respectful behavior towards all teachers is truly admirable. He works tirelessly to master math facts and perfect his cursive writing, nice, and enhance his reading skills. We are honored to nominate such an outstanding young man for the prestigious award. Congratulations. All right, our next student is Raina Vital. Raina is exactly what one would think of when thinking of a black tiger. She is always being respectful to both her classmates and all of the adults she comes in contact with. Raina will smile and give you her undivided attention when spoken to and will go out of her way to help you with any request. Raina knows how to take responsibility in the way that she manages her supplies, works with her peers, and puts maximum effort into her work. She truly takes responsibility for her own learning and is willing to keep trying even if something new or difficult at first. She always seems to know what the right thing is to do, what the expectations are, and has a focus on getting things done. Finally, Raina practices safety at all times, not only for herself, but for the people around her. Raina may not demand much attention, but she deserves to be acknowledged and recognized for just how amazing, caring, respectful, and responsible she is. Congratulations, Raina. All right. Moving on to Lincoln, we have Liam Hawkins. Liam, always right in front. All right. Hi, Liam. Liam is a truly wonderful person. He is always so kind and helpful to everyone, and he always looks out for his friends. He tries his best in everything he does, and he has a positive attitude that makes everyone around him feel happy. We are so lucky to have such a great person in our class. Congratulations, Liam. All right, our next student at Lincoln is Nella Nakizi. Coming all the way from the back. It's a long walk. You made it. You took the best route. Good job. All right, Nella. Nella is not just a student. She's a shining star in the classroom and a role model for her peers. From the moment she walks into the classroom, Nella greets the day with a radiant smile. Her positive attitude is infectious, inspiring those around her. She is always eager to learn, to explore, and to tackle new challenges. Nella is the ideal student to have in any classroom. She is a joy to teach and a pleasure to be around. Congratulations. Where's that smile? Okay, our next school, Preston. Our first student there is Aubrey Allison. Oh, right in front with the cute hair I saw. Come on up. Hi, Aubrey. I love that hairdo. Super cute and the little curls. I gotta try that tonight. Maybe I'll come in like that tomorrow. Yeah, I doubt it. That's too much work. It's too cute. Yeah. I can't pull it off. She's way too cute. All right, Aubrey. Aubrey is a bubbly, hardworking young lady whose smile brightens the room. She is a terrific reader and is always raising her hand and doing her very best in class. She is polite to everyone she meets and shows Black Tiger pride no matter where she goes. Keep up the great work, Aubrey. Congratulations, Aubrey. All right, our next student is Pranav Gura.
Why?
I'm not even sure everyone can see you and appreciate your cute outfit. Here, let's turn around, Pranav. Oh, there we go. Everybody see you? All right, all right. Stay right there. I know, it's almost over. All right, Pranav is a shining example of Black Tiger pride. Each day he leads by example in the classroom. He is a great listener and a hard worker. Everyone enjoys being his partner in class because he is so patient and kind. Pranav, what grade are you in? Fifth? First? Oh, first. All right. I thought maybe, I don't know. All right. Mr. O loves having him in PE because he is so helpful and he is one of the most energetic in the class. Keep up the great work. Congratulations. All right. Moving along to Price, we have Ian August. Ian demonstrates perseverance in the classroom, even during challenging math lessons. When faced with a particularly difficult problem, Ian doesn't give up easily. He approaches the problem from different angles, asks clarifying questions, and ultimately works through the challenge with determination. He consistently offers thoughtful and insightful responses to complex questions, demonstrating a deep understanding of the material. His positive attitude and willingness to help others make him a valuable asset in the classroom community. Ian is always ready to lend a hand to classmates who are struggling, patiently explaining concepts and offering encouragement. His contributions to our class create a positive and supportive, collaborative learning environment. Congratulations. All right, our next student from Price is Angela Fuel. Angelina. What did I say, Angelina? Oh, Angelina, minus 2 points for me. Sorry about that. I missed a syllable. Yes. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, I screwed it up. That was my bad. But that's when I'm so glad that you told me that, because I think children should be able to tell us when we screw up their names. Because we all do it. A lot of people screw up my name too. I'm Dr. Seuss. Little ones know that. That's how they know me when I come in. Hi, Dr. Seuss. Yeah. All right. Angelina consistently works to answer questions and will take a risk and will try to answer even when she is not 100% certain. She is persistent in her independent work and strives to complete quality work. When a new student joined our class this year, she was kind and made sure that they felt welcome at Price Elementary. When her classmates were asked what makes Angelina a top Tiger, they shared that she always listens to the speaker. She works hard in math. When I fell, she helped me up and made sure I was okay. And she was nice to a new student in our class. We are grateful for the contributions she has made to our classroom community. And for the record, my little neighbor next door's name is Angelina. So now I really shouldn't have screwed it up. All right, Richardson, moving along, we have Everett Francini. I was wondering which way you were gonna go. You took a little bit of a hard way to go. All right. Everett is a good citizen in our classroom community. He reaches out to his peers when they struggle. He also has volunteered to be our co-IT guy, helping others log in or get out of the technology jam. Come on over, buddy, I need you. Everett was also chosen by our PE teacher, Mrs. Pettit, to help her change the gym over for her kindergarten class. With all of the extra stuff, Everett always makes sure his classwork and assignments are complete, and he tries his best. Everett is a role model that this Black Tiger classroom is proud to have. Congratulations, Everett. Oh, I like this name. Maple Scardina. What a nice name. Maple Scardina. That is like, Maple, are you here? Oh, there she is. I like that. I like that's a good ring to it. Could be an actress someday. Is your middle name Syrup? Good. That was not good, but you smiled. Have you heard that one before? I knew it. Not creative. All right. Maple is a hardworking and responsible student who consistently demonstrates kindness and politeness towards her peers and teachers. Her sense of humor, oh good, you have one, thankfully, brings joy to the classroom. And she is a true leader who models Black Tiger pride behavior every day. With her enthusiasm and passion for learning, she inspires those around her to engage and strive for excellence. We are so glad that Maple is in our class. Congratulations, Maple. All right, Silver Lake has 3 students tonight, one from last time that was unable to come. And Keith Adkins, are you here? Oh, there he is. All right. Yep, parents are good at embarrassing our kids. I saw you do that nudge. All right, he's proud. All right, Keith. Keith Adkins is a wonderful student and citizen. We are pleased to nominate him for the Top Tiger Award. He is very deserving of it. Keith is very respectful, kind to all of his peers, and a great role model. He loves learning and is always excited to learn new things. He works very hard on all of his schoolwork and tries his best on all tasks. We look forward to having Keith for the remainder of this school year. Congratulations, Keith. Oh, another good name, Isla Marconi. Isla. Hello. All right, Isla epitomizes Black Tiger pride. She is respectful, responsible, and practices safety. Isla is a student Mr. Kelly can depend on because she has integrity and she is conscientious. She is also an outstanding student. Her creative and expository writing is impressive. Isla is working above grade level in reading and math. She is in the 91st percentile for reading. Awesome. Isla's ability to learn and bright personality make her a joy to teach. There is no doubt that Isla has a bright future. Congratulations and keep up the excellent work. Nice. All right. Maverick Smith. I like that name too. We're on a roll with some good names. Maverick, I think I met you when you were like this big. How did you get so tall? You did, right? Oh my goodness. Maverick, you were like seriously in a, I don't know, I thought you were like in a stroller, but maybe not that little. All right, Maverick. Maverick has established himself as a kind and caring student. He is dedicated to working hard in the classroom every day. His commitment to learning is inspirational to his peers, and it is a pleasure to have him in the classroom. We cannot wait to see what you accomplish in the future. Keep it up, and congratulations, Maverick. All right, moving on to those middle schoolers. Our first school is Bolick, and we have Avery Drake. Avery Drake consistently embodies Black Tiger pride. In all her classes, she strives for excellence by completing her work, staying focused, participating positively, and assisting her classmates. She earned straight A's in the first grading period and is well on her way to repeating this achievement in the second grading period. That's great. Recently, Avery volunteered her time and contributed to the successful execution of Bolick Middle School's wonderful turkey trot and giveaway of 12 complete turkey dinners. Avery, we recognize your kindness, incredible potential, and believe you will continue to make a positive impact on the world. Congratulations. Very much. All right, our next student is Adam Gesquier. Oh, Adam? All right, we'll hold on to Adams. Congratulations to him. We'll see if he can come next time. Our next school is Roberts, and our first student is Ryan Burns. Ryan? No Ryan? Oh, where are our middle schoolers? I'm going to call him when I get home. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. All right, Natalie Collado. I know she's here. All right. You had to show your brother that you can get it too, right? Uh-huh. I remember. Oh, I see you. Okay. All right. You see him do one of these? Yeah. All right. Natalie. Natalie is a beautiful person inside and out. She is kind, quiet, helpful, and smart. She is astute and perceptive, helping her assess situations, which in turn aids her in making good decisions. She is prudent and diligent in her work, as well as how she represents herself. She is in advanced art, robotics, honors ELA, and algebra classes. Very good. Natalie has no idea how great she really is, and that's what makes her very special to all that she is around. Congratulations, Natalie. We have from the high school this evening, we have 3 students, but I understand that 1 or 2 may not be able to be here, but I know Aiden's here. Aiden Chestnut, come on up. Aiden, what grade are you in now?
I'm a senior.
That's what I thought. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't see. Let me see your jacket. Turn around. Aiden, 25. Okay. Cross country. All right. That is not, sport is not for me because it involves running, and anything that involves running, I'm not doing. So, okay, good. And I'm too old. All right, Aiden. Yeah, I know, I'm 32. Aiden, an exceptional young man, is not only a strong science student and excellent athlete, but is also a leader who is motivated, compassionate, and encouraging to his peers. Throughout his years in science classes at the high school, Aiden has continually demonstrated curiosity and the persistence to stick with challenging activities. He works incredibly well in group settings, acting as a quiet leader with the ability to acknowledge and include everyone's efforts. When the science department thinks of Black Tiger Pride, we think of students like you. We are proud to nominate you and have you join the ranks as a top Tiger. Congratulations, Aiden. Sophia is not here this evening. Sophia Gonzalez, she's one of my suits troops. She's
She's at a swim meet.
swim meet, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what the note says, in red. Yep, she's at a swim meet. I can't swim either, my goodness, I'm over. I don't know, and I can't tell good jokes. All right, so our last student, I think, also may not be here tonight, which is Marin. Model luck? She is here? No? Swimming as well, okay, all right. Well, we'll see if we can get them here next meeting. Okay, well, first, I want to say just a couple things. Number one, I want to acknowledge, excuse me, our staff that are here to support your students. It's very nice that they came out on this frigid evening as well. So if you're a staff member who came to support a child or a staff member, why don't you stand or raise your hand or. Yep. I know how much that means for our students to see you here this evening, so thank you for doing that. And our principals, they never take credit for being here. They are here every month, so congratulations, and thank you to our principals for being here. And the congratulations goes out to, there is one more congratulations, and that's to all of our family members who are here this evening. We are very grateful for the work that you do with your children at home. This is a team effort, and we know that parenting is not easy, and so we applaud you for what you are doing, because clearly all the beautiful things that we said about your children here this evening are a result of your parenting. So congratulations to all of you. All right, thank you again. So at this time, we will head over to the cafeteria and have a seat over there, and we'll get you organized for a picture. Thank you.
on to item E, Treasurer CFO's Business Consent Agenda. Ms. Stokoe.
One more
No,
presentation.
one more
strategic-
presentation.
I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a minute.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip over you. We are going to back up and go to the strategic plan update, which is very important. I wasn't trying to skip over that in any way, shape,
I
or
won't
form.
take offense.
I've been looking forward to this.
Oh. Good evening, Board. Once again, thank you for giving us this time to share with you our work thus far on the strategic plan. So I want to just say a few remarks, and then I'm going to turn it over to our team, who really have done the bulk of this work. First, I want to mention that we've had a lot of discussion about the length of a strategic plan. And I think we all know that in working, our experience in working with plans, that it's a fluid kind of process. Things can get done sooner than we expect or longer than we expect. Sometimes mandates come in, legal requirements can shift, change the direction, on a dime. So our goal is to stay within about the 4-year mark, and the reason being is this year sort of is what we're going to start the work. So we have a half a year left. So this to me is kind of like year one. We might treat next year kind of as year 1, 2, and then 2 more subsequent years. So our guess is that like through 28 is about the estimated time. You'll see in our timelines, we had some conversation about that, and we added, or we will if they have not added already. We just had this discussion yesterday about putting like little Cliff Note versions in the timeline that you see there in that category. So you may see more level of detail, more specifics. So, but with that, I just want to open with some remarks, and that is that at the heart of our mission is the commitment to create an environment that fosters growth, opportunity, and success for all. We are proud to introduce the beginning stages of our strategic plan, and this plan has been thoughtfully created by members of Cabinet and the Board of Education to guide us towards a future where our community, our staff, and most importantly, our students thrive. To recap, we engaged the Summit County ESC, and particularly Mr. Ferguson, in the fall after having created goal areas and topics at our board retreat to be embedded in the strategic plan. Mr. Ferguson held several sessions with various stakeholder groups that offered feedback and suggestions and shared it with our team as well as the board. After that, our team went back and they started to work creating goals, objectives, and action steps for our board to consider. The 3 key goals that will shape our future include, and if you recall, our CFS staying in line with that, are creating, the C, a culture of caring, F, facilitating our financial future, and S, steering to student achievement. Together, these goals will create an approach to advance our vision for the future. At this time, I'm going to ask my team, they'll each come up during their goal area, and they'll talk about their vision statement and their measurable action steps. And I would like to note that I've asked the team to provide a detailed overview, focusing really on the goals and objectives, and just speaking briefly and touching upon the action steps. But certainly if you have questions, they can dive deeper. The reason being is much of what they have, you've already heard a lot about in those action steps, so in one way or another in our recent presentations. So I would just suggest that we stop after each one, and then we can afford you some time to give questions, feedback, et cetera. That way you don't have to wait till the end to memorize it all, if that's okay. All right, so we'll start with Mr. Elder, who's going to talk to you and a couple other members of our team about the culture of caring. So
Can I ask a question about the time frame?
Yep.
I don't have a problem with 4 years or whatever, but just in terms of like, we're saying half of this year and next year's year 1. No, I don't have a problem with that either. I just want to make sure like when we adopt this, because at some point like as a board we should adopt this when we get to the end, that it's well defined that this is year 1, it's a 4-year plan, and this is the end date. I just think it's important that we well define this because it's such an important piece of the work that we do as a board, and
Sure.
that there should be like those guardrails of like this is the end date
Sure.
of what this work is. Understanding that so much of what we do is setting this like general vision and hopefully things that will continue, but in terms of what we hope to accomplish, this is the range of time that we hope to see these results within.
Okay.
And then to our little offline discussion, in objective 2 of this first section, there is still a couple year 5s. I think they're easily taken out.
Okay.
Just-
Yep, thank you. Okay, might have missed those.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ellen.
All right, twice in 1 month. All right, so this is very nice to be here. So the section or the goal area that my team is working on is the culture of caring. Joining me in this discussion will be Brian Hutch and Christine Stewart. Not here today is Hallie Merkel. So some of you may know this, but the hierarchy of needs was established by Abraham Maslow in the 1940s. Our concept for the culture of caring goal takes from Maslow's theory and creates and centers around the fact that one's basic needs must be met in order to move through and or advance in the remainder of the needs. While Maslow established 5 needs in his hierarchy, the culture of caring goal will focus on 3 of those needs. The physiological need, which is the most basic human need, the need for safety and security, and the need for belonging. As you hear other goal areas outside of the culture of caring, you will also hear the other 2 needs that would include self-esteem and self-actualization. So let's talk about the first objective, which is to develop and maintain a comprehensive support network to our families with educational resources, eliminating barriers to ensure all students have equal opportunities to their education. So we have essentially 3 action steps within that objective. One of the things that we want to make sure that we do is we want to continue our growth and awareness and the sustainability of our Black Tiger Family Center. We have the Black Tiger Family Center Committee that's going to be doing the work in that area. We see this as a goal, no matter what the strategic plan time frame is, this will be continuing, right? We have to sustain that and continue to do that to be able to offer those basic needs of the resources that we see in that Black Tiger Family Center. We want to continue the promotion of our students' physical and mental health and their well-being in that area. This will be covered by the Student Services Department. There's a lot of SEL work that will be involved in this area. Our overarching goal is to make sure that our students know themselves well enough that they can ask for help and advocate for themselves, and that we're advocating on behalf of our students. And then the last part of that is to enhance our school attendance. We see the basic need of education as, essentially the ground building up, to build upon that by asking students to come to school every day on time. The most obvious thing is that if they're not in school, we have a difficult time teaching them. So we want to make sure that they're here. We want to promote, the school not just to come for the purposes of checking off a box, but there's something here for everybody. So to that, we get into the second part. Mr. Hodge, you want to speak on it?
I'm going to come up there. I have a microphone here, so. Okay. So in objective 2, we're getting straight into the idea of the security of our students and our staff, our school community. And we have a handful of action steps we're going to look at in this area. Number 1 is continued work on researching and implementing safety practices that optimize student safety. And that's an evolving and ongoing endeavor. We see things on the future like wearable panic buttons, and there's a number of technologies we continue to explore so long as we can do it in a financially sustainable way. So that could be anything from artificial intelligence analytics in our camera systems to wearable. There's so much emerging technology. Keeping on that and keeping programming in front of our kids and our staff to keep them safe. Second action step is to execute and refine emergency procedures. And what we're really looking at here as the benchmark is we've got great plans. We exercise drills all the time for what to do when the emergency happens, putting greater and greater focus on the reunification after an event. So making the reunification drills a real tangible outcome that they have to do in a stressful situation for college. Next is the continued development and implementation of threat assessment teams. So the district has already made done great work in threat assessments, and threat assessments happen all the time in our district. So continuing to develop those teams and develop their capabilities, and then along with that, centralizing the storage of the data when it comes to threat assessments. Something we know that when we look back at crises that happen in communities, so often there's concern about how did agencies not know what the other agencies were doing. So even within our own school, making sure if a student who has a history that needs to be cared for more in depth, make sure that data travels in a clear way within our district. So we're tracking trends in our kids so we don't miss something, having centralized storage locations for that data. And then the final one is simply opening the new school in a safe and secure way. And that is a major milestone for us as well. Students are ready to get in there. We need to make sure we're partnering with law enforcement ahead of time, doing all the other things we can do ahead of time to ensure that on day one, we are open and safe for kids.
So our third objective focuses on ensuring that all Black Tigers experience a sense of belonging, purpose, and hope. Our goal is to achieve this by the continued development of a robust social, emotional, and mental health program that emphasizes social emotional learning across all curricula, as well as improving or continuing to look at our communication strategies and how we will be entertaining those individuals within our entire school district. So one of the goals, the first goal is to kind of create a tool for us to be able to identify social emotional programming at an optimum level. That is to help us kind of get a best understanding of practices that are happening within the building and within buildings in the district that are indicative of good social emotional learning practices at a tier 1 level. We want to help our students and staff have a genuine sense of connection and have that sense of belonging. So our goal is to utilize some of our LCL supports, PBIS Plus, DLT, BLT, MTSS, to help our staff learn genuine connections and how to develop those with our students. We want to continue with the positive culture, and this will be completely focused on our PBIS Plus, MTSS, and our building leadership in DLT. And then we want to make sure that we have equitable practices district-wide. Equity is something that you're probably going to hear a little bit about politically in the next few months if you haven't already heard. But for us, we want to still focus on making sure that we are understanding and identifying all of our students as they come to us and meet them where they're at. To talk a little bit about how we want to promote this sense of belonging in communications, I wanted to introduce Ms. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Elder and members of the board. If you recall in previous meetings, we discussed where does communications and family engagement fall within the strategic plan, because really it does touch all of the goals. And originally we had my strategic plan goals starting in the facilitating the financial future. And as we met as cabinet and started to go over all of the work we had done, we discovered that the action steps that I had created to match the board's wishes fit better in the culture of caring. So, and you're gonna hopefully see the action steps and how that applies with the social emotional work, the sense of belonging and purpose. And the first thing is enhanced communication. So developing and implementing communication strategies tailored to stakeholder preferences. And that's an important thing, because it's really easy with all the latest and greatest technology just to start using things. But if our stakeholders aren't going to use those, or those not meaningful, then there's no point. So analyzing, reaching out to our stakeholders through surveys and getting feedback, both internal from our staff and our families, but also our external community members and businesses and partners, and finding out how they want to receive information is going to be a very important part of this communication strategy. We also want to make sure that we are making our communication that it's ensuring materials are accessible. And I don't mean accessible as far as language, that's certainly a part of it, but making sure that they are ADA compliant. So any family members who are hearing impaired or visually impaired, that any documents that we're sending out can be read by screen readers. Our website is going to be visually accessible, and they can get the communication regardless of whatever way they need to get the information. And then reevaluating our work on that and tweaking the communication strategies moving forward. So the second part of my plan, I kind of looked at my role as an umbrella. So one part was the communication, and then the other part was the family engagement. And within the family engagement, that is part of a two-part where we have to work with our families to have them partner with us so they can work with their teachers and staff members and counselors and social workers to make sure they have all the accessible resources they need to become academically successful. And the family engagement is part of creating a district-wide family engagement plan. And Parents Square, just last night, we sent out, one of the first steps was surveying our families. And we made that survey also very accessible by using our Mrs. Thapa, our Nepalese family liaison, and she recorded videos of the language because we know many of our families may not necessarily read their native language. So we wanted to make sure we truly had a representation of our family voices. We also want to have both district-wide and building family engagement events, and making sure that they are a place, our buildings in our district are welcoming and our families feel welcome to come in, and then evaluating how successful those are. We love a good fall festival and a carnival, but how is that going to help our students become academically successful, and looking at different strategies for that. And then the other part of that is empowering our staff to become a part of the family engagement process, and making sure that our staff have the tools so they understand what does it mean to partner with a parent? How can I empower a parent or a guardian to advocate for what's best for their child? How can we work together and make sure that their academic success is the best that it can be? And then, so if you look at all of the action steps that I've come up with, and then the outcomes, that it emphasizes collaboration, continuous improvement, inclusivity, to ensure that every Black Tiger feels a sense of belonging and purpose, and it aligns with objectives 1 and 2 under our culture of caring.
Lastly, the one I wanted to just mention that Sarah Sapatiki also is a part of our group too. She will be really focused on that equity portion of this area. So, any questions related to the culture of caring?
I have a lot of questions about everything.
I was thinking we knocked it out of the park. No question.
We were supposed to
So
wait to the
disappointed at
end.
first there.
And I know I'll have more as we go through, but I also know some of my colleagues like to absorb, process, and come back to things. So would you like me to wait to a future time and then have conversation? But also, I would like to say, I extra meetings. But I also know that a strategic plan is one of the most important things we can do as a board. And we could sit here, I wanna hear all the presentation tonight, don't get me wrong, cause I think that's very important and you're prepared and I need to absorb that all. But I also almost think that we need like a work session once everyone's ready to discuss this, cause there's a lot to discuss through all of these action steps as a board and where we see, how we can shape this now, because we're receiving this and it's our job to make sure that we can shape it a little bit as well. Cause it's not our job to just approve what we're given, cause I think what we're seeing is very good. It's our job to make sure it's great for the community that we're supposed to be the voice for. And I don't like special meetings, everyone knows that about me, but I think this is one of those things that's almost so important and gonna take so much time to discuss.
I would agree, Mr. Gomez. I also don't like special meetings. However, what I like less than a special meeting is a meeting that lasts 5 hours because there's a lot that we need to cover. So, knowing that we want to sit and absorb and have questions, I think that it's a good idea to probably do a work session to get through everything, so.
And I wanted to say that before I started asking all my questions and make this meeting longer, which I know everyone appreciates.
Well, the one thing that I would say to that is, I think as a team, we all know that this is not our strategic plan.
It's all of
This is
ours.
Yeah, this is the direction that comes from you all. And, so our hope was to take the guidance that you all provided and try to synthesize that into something that, we could have at least a start. We know this is a working document. As a federal programs coordinator, I also want to just emphasize too that there's some connection to this, to our one plan as well. So you may see some similarities in some of the language from our one plan. It's not directly in there, but if you like a review of that, I can put that in Friday notes for you to review the goals and objectives within the one plan. But a lot of the stuff, even when you hear from the teaching and learning department, a lot of that has some connectivity to what we're already trying to do to enhance and improve the learning for our students and opportunities for those students as well. So I'm going to take that as culture of caring is
Yes.
great,
Yes.
excellent. No, we look forward
No,
to,
it is
honestly, we do look forward to any,
Right.
suggestions and changes.
It's a really good idea, yeah.
Thank you. And we appreciate
Yeah, thank
all
you.
the
A lot
hard
of
work
time,
that's
yeah.
gone into and the time and collaboration that's gone into this.
Absolutely.
It's
So
Chris,
that's
it's Christy.
stuff.
Yep,
Next
it's
one.
Miss Stoikway.
Yeah.
You're all right if I sit here so I can reference
the mic
this?
will get you.
Still the mic, okay. So, I have goal area 2, I'm talking about it. Facilitating our financial future, so this grouping, kind of included Miss Stewart, and she jumped to culture of caring. But she was in our group, Mr. Brigatti and Miss Bogdan, so. We kind of have, we have 2 different objectives. So our vision statement, I'll start with that. So we came up with, we will manage operational resources with financial transparency and responsibility to provide a safe, cost-effective environment that enriches student success and promotes positive growth while fostering strong partnerships. So really the 2 main objectives here, obviously finances are one, but finances kind of run through all of the strategic plan. So it's a little more focused here and a little more direct perhaps than just some of those other things. And then the other one, which is our objective 1, is more regarding our infrastructure and things. So our objective 1 is to ensure the continuous development and maintenance of facilities and infrastructure that provide for the academic, artistic, and athletic needs of present and future students in alignment with the strategic priorities. So many of our action steps on this one revolve around a 5-year capital improvement plan. For the past few years, I have felt the need for something like this. Many other districts do it, something outside of the OFCC. We're calling it capital improvement because I think getting into that OFCC language of master facilities, it gets confusing. And we do have this, we just don't have anything really like formalized or in like its own like plan. Like I obviously keep this, we use our emergency levy funds as kind of the basis for our capital improvements. But you know, going forward with the new high school, we will have that permanent improvement levy, half mil that we have. And I just think it would be, I just think it's good to have, you know, something mapped out in a 5-year plan. It will help me also with the forecast as well, of someone, perhaps an outside company to come in and give us an assessment of all of the buildings and kind of, you know, what they perhaps maybe see is needed in addition to what we've already got on our plans per se. And especially going forward with, you know, the way the forecast looks, just kind of, you know, what are our priorities and listing, what is the priority, what is, you know, what can be moved down, what can be moved back, you know, there are all sorts of, you know, different things. We talk, you know, roofs and bleachers and, you know, building new buildings at the elementary. There's just a gamut of different things, you know, technology, although that really wouldn't be a part of this, but like that is another one we also keep track of. It could be a part of this if we wanted it to be, as a section. So really, that is the big action step here is creating that 5-year capital improvement plan. And along with that, we thought we would develop a capital improvement planning committee. So we would have a group that would meet, would help facilitate this. And then that group would also, as you see, the next couple steps involve, you know, doing kind of similar to the emergency levy report that I do each year, an annual report that can also be made, you know, to the public maybe in a more pleasing format of things. In that, and then also, you know, that community engagement of giving, you know, providing opportunities somehow, engagement, whether it be, you know, at one of Dr. Selico's sip and share things, if, you know, this was the topic, you know, things on the website, any of the avenues that we use, but at least having some sort of annual engagement with, you know, stakeholders, internal and external, about our facilities, our capital plan, and those kinds of things. And then the final one we have on there would be to try to secure some dedicated revenue source for these capital improvements that we will, you know, be needing, hopefully not so much at the 6-12 level, but at the elementary level as we continue and look towards, you know, what is happening with those. So that is kind of a big one. That's why we put kind of years 1 and 2. Thinking 1 is next year was my thought there, because it may take a while to kind of do all that assessment, get it together, compile it. I do have some examples that I can send you from other districts as well, of what they have, but I think it's just easier for us to have it somewhere. And I've been wanting it for a little bit now. We just haven't had all the time to be doing it. So that's our objective 1. Mostly regarding our facilities and infrastructure. 2 is more of the actual financial side of things. So objective 2 is to promote financial stewardship, transparency, and accountability by maximizing systems and resources to ensure all financial activities support the district's mission and strategic goals. So these are a little bit different. They don't all connect. Some of them connect, but in our action steps would be aligning the board-approved strategic plan recommendations with budgets and operational infrastructure. And so in this, we're kind of talking similar to how we do the board agendas, and we put, you know, like, this is under this category, this is, you know, that throughout the district, in the building planning, department planning for their budgets, for things like that, that these priorities are kind of outlined in there when they're doing their budgets and they're doing those zero-based budgets, that they're aligning those, which is part of the process for them, is to be looking at, does this align with the strategic plan, does this align with things like that. So kind of making sure that that's reflected when we're doing those things and that we're being intentional with them. The other one would be enhancing financial literacy. This is going to be a must going forward as we are, venturing into different territory and don't know what the state budget's gonna look like and things like that. So to both internal and external stakeholders. So that, internally they can make informed strategic decisions, and things. So annual professional development opportunities. This is the first year I've gone to every building now but DeWitt to kind of go over some things with staff, providing user-friendly communications with external stakeholders. Again, that could be a gamut of things, and we plan on it being that, whether it's the website, whether it's ROAR, whether it's in-person things. Providing financial transparency to our community through publications like the ACFR, which we already do, but we'll continue to do that, and a financial prospectus. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that, but some districts do. It's a standalone financial prospectus of just kind of the year in review. It's also something I've been thinking of the last couple years. I have a couple hard copies that in my office that I meant to bring tonight. I totally forgot about it. Of other districts that it's just a very brief, but it kind of gives a picture of what, our finances looked like over the year, and is a little more in depth than some of like the ROAR stuff that we do. Those are more pointed and, we only have so much section, but to give overall to the community in that. And then the next two are more HR related, but we have been, along with the Treasurer's Office and Human Resources and the Technology Department, have been researching some human resources information systems for our staff. So right now we've got staff information in many different places and many different things. HR has their records, we have our payroll software, we have SCView for some things, but none of them really connect or talk to each other, or have one place someone can go and get all the information for that employee. And so we kind of started this and looking at making sure when we're offboarding people that, like, are we catching everything? Do we have them, their badges turned off? Are they being deregistered from systems? Do they, that their access is being turned off correctly, and that we're catching everything? And maybe finding a way to automate that once we do that. But there's a real big need, and there's really not a great product. SCView is going to be rolling something out, so we're hoping that will kind of be our fix. But we would like to implement that and begin using some sort of HRIS system for our staff, because it is certainly something that we need. We've compiled it all together, but it would take manual update to keep it up to date all the time, because these different systems aren't talking to each other all the way. And then finally, guided by annual updates, third-party enrollment projections, kind of doing the district is committed to responsibly preparing staffing across the district. So at least annually, when we're looking at enrollment, we're making sure that we are kind of right-sized, which we will be needing to do in the future given the financial forecast. And we will be getting that kind of third-party enrollment because of the OFCC with the elementaries and things. So kind of using that and some other updates to make sure that we are, as I want to say, lean as in a bad thing, but lean fiscally as still providing a good education and the items that student needs require. So just kind of doing all of that, and then I think that is our only, yes, those are.
Shall we continue, or do you want, any clarifying questions just based off of that will help you as you take another look? There's a lot to that one.
Yes, there is.
It's a
The
big
only
one.
question I had was, well, I shouldn't say the only question, but just a clarifying question that I had was, when you're saying secure a dedicated revenue source for capital improvements, are you referring to new money, new levy money?
It could be
or,
any of those,
like-
whether it is like a separate permanent improvement levy, whether it is grants, that, Mr. Guestford quite often gets grants for security stuff, that we do. Obviously, the emergency levy will need renewed at some point during the term of the strategic plan, and right now that is our dedicated revenue stream, for the most part, so, many options there, that's why we left it a little bit general, but that's also why it says timely recommendations of options, cause we realize that not, some of those are your decisions, as a board, and so we can't say, yes, we're gonna do this, or no, that would be up to you, at that time, so, some of them we would be able to obviously apply for grants, and which we do and continue to do, for that, but others would be board decisions.
Based on your recommendations, as I reviewed this, it's all like, make strong recommendations about your financial future. So, based on your recommendations, don't sell yourself short, Madam Treasurer.
So, yeah, a variety, but yeah, it could be new money.
Thank you to the board for having us tonight to talk about the strategic plan. Our section is steering to student achievement, so we're going to highlight all the literacy as well as just student achievement in general. So our vision is we envision a future where all students are empowered to reach their full potential as lifelong learners and global citizens. Our school community will provide a rigorous and supportive learning environment that prepares students for employment, enlistment, and enrollment successes. So the first part is, the first objective is really where we're talking about RTI MTSS. So our first objective is to continuously improve student learning outcomes through the response to intervention process, which is the academic portion of MTSS multi-tiered system of supports framework. So we've been working a lot this year on really kind of trying to lay the foundation and the groundwork for all of this, or the last couple of years really. So this part of the plan looks at the action steps, kind of look at the problem solving process. So where we use database decision making to determine, what are some of the difficulties that students are having academically. How do we diagnose or look at those things more specifically? What interventions do we choose? And then we progress monitor to see how are the students responding to that intervention. And then the process just repeats. So if you can see, the first part is implementing a universal screening tool at the elementary and secondary level. So we have Acadians that we are using. We have diagnostics that we've put in place, but really learning to use those tools and to just enhance our skills in evaluation. But then also the early warning system, so looking at academic, behavioral, as well as attendance difficulties that students might be having, and using that early warning system from the lens of academic achievement. Really for our 6 through 12 is that early warning system. So the next part in the problem solving process is analyzing and the screening data to identify students that are at risk, using our data days. So I know you've heard data days from the PBIS Plus perspective, now also data days from the achievement perspective, and really being able to analyze and take our teachers where they can look at that data and dig a little bit deeper and really hone in on the skills that our students are struggling with so that we can provide appropriate interventions with fidelity. So looking at that fidelity measure too. We want to have a comprehensive integrated dashboard. So we have different dashboards that we're using. So I think even in that first, area that we were talking about, kind of integrating all of these different dashboards or pieces of data that we have, bringing those dashboards together. So I know we've worked with Mindy Geschke on the early warning system, and we have all these pieces, but really kind of taking it a step further and seeing if we can have her build a comprehensive comprehensive integrated dashboard so that it's easier for all of us to see all of our information in one space. The next part is develop and implement tiered interventions with fidelity. So just, making sure that we're identifying as well as choosing solid interventions, and then are we delivering them with fidelity? So are the students here? Are the teachers here? Are we, meeting the amount of times that we say that the students need for intervention? So just making sure that we have some assurances for fidelity and some systems in place to monitor if that's delivered with fidelity. And then the last part is monitoring student progress. So developing, continuing to enhance our skills at progress monitoring the areas that the students are struggling in. And then we look at the data and we start it again. So we have data days this year where we have them at every benchmark for Acadians so far, so 3 times a year, and then 2 extra times in between the benchmarks. We're meeting again as a team to look at all that progress monitoring data to make sure that we're addressing student need. So that's essentially the RTI academic piece of multi-tiered system of supports and what we want to continue to focus on and just really improve. So, thank you.
I get to say thank you, President Coco, and Vice President Gomez, and everyone for having us here today. Thank you so much. Objective 2 is foster a culture of continuous instructional improvement by implementing evidence-based instructional strategies and rigorous and relevant curricula, resulting in increased student achievement. So we're saying we believe in our educators, they're professionals, and we want to invest in their continuous learning, which we know will result in continued improved student achievement. So some of the action steps are to continue our journey with teacher clarity, but really the end result of teacher clarity is where we have teacher building efficacy, so a collective whole that they believe as a collective whole impacts student learning. So starting to move from individual teachers and how we learn as adults and moving towards a collective commitment to how we're going to learn and grow in our building. So that teacher efficacy piece is really where we're going, but that takes, I would say, a good 3 to 5 years from the beginning to the end. So we're making progress there. Going into next year, looking at viable assessment practices. So you can get a 4-year degree in writing how to write effective assessments. You know, there's a lot that goes into assessment writing and development, and so we want to understand what does that look like, you know, in our formative assessment, which a lot of our teachers have learned about historically, but also how are we using that data assessment to shape our understanding of our students. And so when we get to sit down and learn more about that and dive in deep, it has a huge impact on student achievement. Of course, we would include the science of reading, literacy practices. We know that is a goal for the state of Ohio. We want to be a partner with the state of Ohio regarding that. We're going through our PD now with our K-12 teachers and looking to expand that and deepen that understanding. And then finally, developing academic programs that secure numeracy and algebraic skills for all learners. And numeracy is not just your basic numeracy. Numeracy goes into high school. It helps with problem solving. It helps understand reasoning with numbers and interpreting data. So numeracy is expansive from K to 12. And then obviously we know that when students have a very strong algebraic understanding, that is a predictor for their future success in life. So we want to make sure that we can leverage that when we focus on mathematics. And then the next objective, 3, is empower students for post-secondary and professional success by developing students' skills in communication, critical thinking, problem-solving, teamwork, and digital literacy, resulting in students being employed, enlisted, or enrolled. So we have schoolings that develops individualized graduation plans, but we want to really maximize that software, teach our parents more about it, teach our teachers about that, and expand how do we use school links
in a very impactful way. And so I think it's a great software that we're doing really good things with, but we can take it further. And then we do offer credit recovery, but looking at kind of balancing that out with some more flexibility, more self-pacing with that, probably a little bit more teacher coaching and support with that. So kind of taking what we're already doing, but to another level of implementation. And developing a graduation steering committee. Graduation requirements have changed so much in the last 5 years, and so we have to keep educating all teachers, our generalists, our specialists, to understand what do children need to graduate. And if we have a steering committee with a variety of stakeholders on that, it will go beyond the administrator, beyond the counselors knowing that. So we want to kind of share the wealth with that. And then lastly, we have this wonderful opportunity with our new campus to start developing those executive function or soft skills that are really important when we think about our teaming opportunities and ways that we can come together. There's some really great models that some of really large high schools in the state of Ohio have used to kind of say that by the time they graduate, they will develop these set of skills because we've made it a focus each year. So for example, one might be understanding how to set goals. So maybe that's a soft skill that they would do in 10th grade, right? And then we study that and learn about that all through 10th grade. So by the time they graduate, they'll have more of those soft skills. And that's where I think I'm the closer, right? So, any immediate questions or thoughts?
Can I ask a question? On objective 2, the outcome measure, is it a 20% increase in each of those 4 years?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, a 20% increase is a pretty big increase. So,
And like in
by
another section, they said like a 10% increase, and it was incremental, but
depending where we're starting,
okay.
correct? And so that, to be honest, that measure could change. So if we have great growth in the beginning, yay, that would be exciting. You know, how do we keep growing and get to that next level? We want it to be attainable, knowing where we're starting. But like, for example, some measurable goals we'll put out there. Of course, we want 100% of our children to know how to read, right? We're not going to put, you know, 90% or 80%. So these are really good conversations to have at our
Work session.
Thank you. Work session. Because, you know, it's how do we make it attainable, how do we make it measurable, but yet, how do we not leave anyone behind? So, good conversations.
Because that one that you're talking about, that was 10%, but then it was staggered out. That was based on the 3-year plan. So when we get into our details, we got to have those discussions.
Yes, and we have those discussions too. Yeah, they're good discussions.
Sure. And then I wasn't sure if it was following the same cohort of people, or if it's, you know, all 3rd graders or all 4th graders, and only measuring 3rd graders each year, or.
Yeah, it usually, I look at it, the performance index, which is the compilation of all our different grade levels that are part of that assessment.
That's a 4-year school board member using the word cohort.
I know.
Yeah, look at that.
I just told Mr. Gomez, I'm like, she used the word cohort.
I will say one thing, and I will see if Ms. White's listening, but the one thing I didn't see, and she'll hear this, like, no, differentiation. So we have a lot, like, goal 1, really great, really love goal 1, Heather, Ms. Neiman, and how we're, like, meeting those students' needs, but I didn't see as much like focus on differentiation. I feel like we've invested so much in that with beefing up Mrs. Zeman's department and really focusing on that, bringing in Ms. Belko, which we're all excited to get to hear more about that. And I know we harp on that word a lot, Dr. Selico, right?
Differentiation.
Well, we've shifted to saying differentiation for you.
I know.
We made that agreement with you, but differentiation, right, Mrs. White?
Yes.
Yes. So.
Yes.
And I see it many times embedded in teacher clarity and
Yeah.
student success criteria, and sometimes vocabulary can be an impediment to progress, and so not everyone will see the word differentiation, and what does that really look like, sound like?
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of bring that alive to people, so you would see differentiation definitely in MTSS.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
definitely there, you would definitely see it in student success criteria, but the intentionality of how we bring that to life and how we communicate that, certainly.
Yeah.
I know we focus on the word intervention a lot in the concept of MTSS, but it really does incorporate differentiation at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, so that we're meeting the needs of all students at all those tiers.
Well, and that's what Ms. Boko is doing as well on the other end.
Absolutely.
It is an intervention to bring those kids out of what might be a lull because perhaps they're bored, and she's intervening into that space to bring more excitement to the learning, to bring more challenging to their learning. So
That's why
we're
MTSS
yes,
is an umbrella.
yes,
Right?
it's on both ends.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
The umbrella, for sure.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
I'd like to see more personalized instruction mentioned too, somewhere. I don't see too much of that. I know with RTI and all that, it would be a somewhat, but I think it should be for every student somewhere along the way, and I just want to bring that up, I thought.
And we might be able to tie that into that graduation piece as well.
Yeah, we'll be
'Cause
sure to
that is
address
a
those
piece of
pieces.
that too. When we, and I know we've talked about graduation plans a lot. Ms. Bogdan's presented on them, I think at least twice when she was principal. At least twice, Ms. Bogdan. Maybe more. But that is a piece of that too. So how we can tie it into pieces that are in there and show how it's happening. Just because we know how important it is to us as well. Thank you so much. That's all I have. I don't want to take from him.
Yeah, I just want to give the team a kudos. They really did a nice job on this. They've been working, and as you know, we have a small thing called opening a new campus in a year, and so we've been dedicating a lot of time to that. And so I don't want to say we didn't want to sell this short, and they certainly did not do that in trying to squeeze this in and making it one more thing. They really were thoughtful and utilized a lot of resources, and we had lots of conversations about it. So I'm proud of the work that they've done so far, and we know it's a start, and we expect feedback and thoughts, and we wanted to make sure that we were respecting the work that we did in our retreat, and we might not have hashed out, I mean, personalization might / differentiation, we can talk a little bit more about that one. I know that was one of your bullet points that you gave us, but we did hit the vast majority of those points that you wanted us to address. So thank you, and we'll continue to work.
I'll say, just to your point about the 612 voting, I think when we get to our work session, I put in here a few notes, and I think there are ways within this to kind of honor more of that work as well too. Because I think a lot of what you all have in here, like, is looking to the forward, but I think a lot of what this is speaks to that piece as well, because this is gonna be done, so much of this is gonna be done with that move as well, so I think that's a piece of what we need to talk more about, is honoring how it's gonna be done in that, in that move and in that building.
I would agree.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Elder, would you like to try for a third? Next week we could fit you on.
I was kind of thinking about that. Actually, the move piece was one of those that we kind of had a little bit of conversation around our strategic plan goal and the discussion around the needs of our students in the move. Not that I'm ready to present on that, but that's something that's a chief focus of our department. I know the district is thinking of that too, but we do a lot around the preparation, but just want to make sure that in our communication plan, we're also talking about who our students need, how they feel.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I think that's a big piece that we're hearing from our community as well, and the concerns are focused around that from our community, so.
Please know that that's part of the plan.
Thank you. Now we can go to item E, Treasurer CFO's business. Ms. Stokely.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Just a couple things to note. There were some revisions to our federal grants that needed some updates on the appropriations, and I sent you an email today. There were a few more that came in later than some of them that got updated. So those are federal grants, and then also the general fund because of the Price Preston contract that needs to go on wasn't originally on the books, for the full amount, but now that we are, so we increased that a little bit to cover the remainder of that project because we didn't really have the total cost at the time, so of what it would be. And then donations, always great. We have a few here. One is a relative of our a board member, Mrs. Schaefer, who did an Eagle Scout project with that. Ben Curtis, Akron Children's Hospital, Texas Roadhouse, actually gave 142 free kids meal certificates. So I thought that was nice. And the Northwest Avenue Church gave a bunch of gift cards, Amazon gift cards. So there were many good things there. We always appreciate those.
Awesome. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer's son, for doing his project and choosing to do that with our district.
Right.
And donate.
We are happy that most of the work is done. Much paperwork to commence, though.
Ms. Stokely, please call the roll.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye. Item F, Treasurer CFO's business, Ms. Stokely.
Yes. I'd like to recommend the Board of Education approve the December 2024 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
Second.
Couple of notes in here. We can take a look at the interest first. Again, these are our, we actually didn't have a bad December, but these are our low, cash flow months. So you can see, like in Star, Ohio, we didn't, it's our lowest to date this year. But this is also the lowest point of cash flow for us each year, this in June. So, but overall, the construction funds did well. You can see Red Tree was actually, and that's general fund, was the highest it's been all year too. So we got a little flip-flop there with Star and Red Tree, one being good, one being bad, but still a good month there. So then looking at the general fund, like I said, we don't bring in a lot of revenue, so a little under 1.5, expenditures right around 5, which brought us down to about 9 million. In December, keep in mind, part of that is we've paid an extra insurance payment to the tune of about $1 million. So really, in theory, that's about $1 million higher. And then you can see, as you see from past, you'll start to see the upswing again, and then it goes back down towards the end of the year. But that is where we're at. The only other thing I want to mention, and I'm keeping an eye on it now, but we'll certainly be keeping a big eye on it in the spring, is for the athletic fund. So you will notice in here that it was in the negative. We're in the red this month. However, some of those are due to things in transit. So for instance, when we sell our tickets through Hometown Ticketing, those deposits come in, kind of daily or whatever. Ms. Duggar in the athletic office, she'll do those in batches. So she may do like a whole week's worth at once in our system. So we have the money in the bank, we just haven't recorded it in the system. Sometimes they're very small amounts, so we wait and do a bunch at a time. So they're not in the red, but they're, hovering right around that zero mark. A lot of that has to do with, really, we don't spend a whole lot of money out of this athletic account, except for things like officials, and those prices have gone way up the last few years. That's really the main killer of this fund, is those officials costs. so we buy very minimal out of here, for the actual sports. I mean, we're talking scorebooks and just things like that. Uniforms come out of the emergency levy. And then, they have, they run all their fundraisers now, kind of through the boosters, and those major purchases are taken care of that way. There are still a few that have some money on our books. But given, that we will be, stopping kind of revenue here once winter season's over, none of our spring sports, obviously, as well as everywhere, bring in any revenue. And so this is something that, we'll be watching a little more closely just to make sure, everything's good by the end of the year. This isn't unusual for an athletic account necessarily, to be right around zero, break even, given the costs for things and their only revenue is ticket sales. So, we'll keep an eye on it, and kind of go from there. We are gonna double check just to make sure things have been taken out of the correct accounts and just kind of review that just to make sure there's no, issues there since we separated out those fundraiser accounts. Just making sure everything was charged and that the account, put on the PO was the correct one. We've had some where we've, flip-flopped those in the past, so we're gonna double check that to make sure there's nothing there, but.
Do we pay coaches out of this fund?
No.
General fund?
Yeah, and game workers get paid out of general fund, so we really, it's a
Well,
very.
there'll be no spring event workers if we're not taking money in. Well, are there announcers for volleyball?
Yeah, and like
Scorekeeper?
So there's a little bit, but that all comes out of general fund anyway. For that, really their biggest expenses, officials and then probably security, paying for the police officers to be at the basketball games and football games, that is also coming out of, this account.
Do any of our spring sports require security? The only one that's indoors I can think of, I think, is boys volleyball.
That's the only indoor one.
And I don't think we have them.
I don't believe we do anything, it's usually basketball and football.
And then we have tennis,
Baseball,
baseball,
track.
softball, track. Those are outdoor. Would it be possible to give us like some averages of what we spend in the spring usually in athletics, so we know what we might be looking at transferring from the general fund?
Yeah.
Because this would have to be, if we go negative, this would be a transfer from the general fund,
Correct.
just so that we have an idea.
Correct.
So that, obviously we don't wanna have to transfer, but it is what it is, and that way, if it's, not a crazy huge amount, then we don't have to ring huge alarm bells in our brain, but we also know that
Yeah.
we're not operating on a huge surplus, so it would just be helpful. You don't have to do it right now.
I'm writing a note.
Okay. I just know you. Thank you. And then I had a question about, foods. Did anyone have it on Netflix? I didn't wanna move this on.
No.
Sorry.
No, I just wanted to ask, with the new league that we're gonna be a part of, will we start charging for middle school admission?
Yeah, so the
Which that will help
ticket
some,
price overall is
right?
lower, so for high school, right now we're at 10 and, they charge 8. But you will see the addition of middle school, tickets will be charged.
That's not till 26, 27.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah, one more year.
And I believe their fees for their officials are lower as well, so.
I think that's what Kate just said.
And then I had a question about food service.
Yeah.
If we could just. I think last month you said we were gonna get like a big revenue, but then cash is still kind of like not super exciting compared to the. Again, not that Mr. Johnson or Mr. Bailey, this isn't criticism of them, this is just the money cards are dealt with.
Yeah.
And it's our job to keep an eye on it, so, and and I know we were told, we discussed this, I think, last month, that there might be price increases, and I know that there's like a legal reason, because we have to cover our costs too. Like by law, we're required to, like, at minimum, cover our costs for that. So, can we start gathering some of that information, like finance-wise, and then through food service, could kind of be tag team through you both, so we can be prepared on that as we see this, kinda.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay.
Oh, I'm
You
sure
know,
they'll
in
be
that-
okay, but I
yeah,
also
but
know
you
that.
get, yeah, so we did, you can see November is typically, for whatever reason, they wait to make that payment. So we had like for payment at the beginning of December and after, so you can see the receipts were 377,000 compared to 58 the month before. So there are the cost increases. Also, to keep in mind that, you know, salaries for food service are paid out of here, and those increases are also in here. So as we started the year, you could see we were about 200 under what we started with the year before. I would guess maybe we'd probably end right around that same two, maybe a little bit less, given the increase in both salaries and then benefits, obviously, and then some food cost increases in there.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Ms. Stover, will you call the roll?
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Item 2, Treasurer CFO's comments.
I don't have much. I was able to attend a Cuyahoga Falls, the girls' basketball game on Saturday because they played my daughter. It was a good game. Unfortunately, they did not win, but fortunate for my daughter, they did. And they needed one after they kind of took a beating on Friday. So, but it was a good game, and I enjoyed it. And it was at our place, so I didn't have to go far. So I've been able to watch volleyball and basketball. They both played games against my daughter's teams this year. So, and then soon they'll be in the same league as my kids. So you'll see them more often.
Do you know roughly how many students there are at field
About 2,200-ish
in the whole district?
in the whole district. Yeah.
But who has and is building a better gymnasium?
Listen, we have brand new elementaries, so like, you know, they're pretty good. They're newer than these.
Our new gymnasiums.
Oh yeah.
And
they're
our
way
current
better.
gymnasium are
Our
better.
gymnasium is
are better,
the worst
so.
in the league. So
We
it was Cloverleaf, but they got a new school.
And we'll give you that because our girls basketball team is doing a very good job this year. So they're not easy to beat. They've been very, very good.
Yeah.
Right. Item G, Superintendent CEO's Business Consent Agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Coco. It is recommended that the Board of Education approves all items listed in the superintendent's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, for personnel, we have a few items here relative to certified appointments. We had an oversight with summer school. We were having some conversation about it and recognizing that Mrs. Brown had worked extra hours that I was not aware of and just felt that she should be compensated. So that was an oversight on our part. Some extra duties. One of those also was an oversight on the supervision for the OSBA. So we'd like to compensate that teacher for taking them down to Columbus. We have some classified appointments, and then we have some good news and a sub-bus driver in training. So hopefully get that person to be a full-time driver. The memorandum of understanding with Kent State University, very minor changes, nothing substantive. Some dates were changed throughout. There was a removal of one provision, and then there was some contact information that was just updated. So again, that's for the College Credit Plus program. The first 5 was a result of the presentation you saw with Ms. Merkel, and this first 5 is, we put an explanation there for you, but it's a digital resource, and it's basically takes place in activities. There's over 18 new activities each day, and within the first 5 minutes of class, the teachers can do a quick little connections, themes about self-care, caring for others, character development, etc. And they have elementary as well as secondary opportunities, and that's been really well received at all, mostly I think elementary, but at all grade levels. It's an opportunity for them. So we're just asking for your approval of that. That fits with our SEO plans, and then our contract for service for Learn Well, which is one that you're all familiar with. Another student there needing education, and then our contract for Cintas. That is one in which we are going to recommend that we have a 3-year contract with them. Before that, it was month to month, and it wasn't as it's now going to be formalized more so in a longer term contract, but as a result, we were also able to save over $7,000 in doing so by signing with them. They've done our work for quite some time, the runoff mats and the cleaning of uniforms. And I think that's it.
Any questions or comments?
Just always excited when we can save money on a contract, especially in this world, so thank you, Mr. Brigatti and team, for that Cintas contract. And then just on the first 5, I just thank for the receptiveness of our administration on that, but I just think it's just important as a board, as a district, knock on wood, but our community and the steps that we take with curriculum has, we haven't had issues that other districts have seen, but we also take these steps to try to be transparent with our community about the types of curriculum that we use, so that would there ever be those types of hubbubs here in our community, that we can provide them easily with what those approved curricula are. And I think that's an important step that we take in our district, even without that sort of controversy surrounding us. So I appreciate our administration taking that step, and I thank them for the summary they provided.
Thank you. And first 5, I just love that concept, and I'm glad that they're being receptive to it. I think all of us could use a first 5 in our day, to be honest.
We're gonna start that at cabinet. I'm gonna
Right?
Yeah. I never know what I'm gonna do.
Ms. Stokely, can you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Item H, Superintendent CEO's business. Dr. Sopko.
Thank you, Ms. Coco. Just a couple things. We have, last week, I'm unsure. The sip and share, I heard you mention earlier, Ms. Stoikoi, but we were here. It's our second attempt. We had offered one in the morning, one in the evening. Didn't have any takers on that one, but that got me to walk over to the wrestling match and got to catch a little bit of that. And that is one sport I struggle to understand and to, I don't know, something about boxing and wrestling, I don't know. But it was nice to see the kids there and get a little glimpse of what they do, and so that was nice. And this week I'll be attending the one act play. I always enjoy those. They're originals by our students. I'm always blown away by their talent. And then I have next week, I spoke with Mr. Harris about this. I think he'll mention it later, but I'm meeting with many of our legislators, a couple next week. I was supposed to have one tomorrow, but that's going to be moved, which I'm trying to get in front of all of our House representatives and senators, so they're coming to meet with me one-on-one to go over some items that I'd like to have some discussion with, and appreciate their receptiveness to accept my invitation. And then lastly, tomorrow at 4 o'clock at Bolick Library, just as a reminder, our naming rights event will be taking place, and we got some traction. It was nice that the Akron Beacon Journal put something in, as well as the Summiteer, is that what it's called, Summiteer, mentioned it as well, and as a result, we got some emails and some more interest. I appreciate members of our team making some personal calls. I will tell you that it's very difficult to get to corporate people. I made several calls and I struck out on all but one, and Mr. Johnson did a great job going to our dealerships, so we have a few coming as a result of that. We probably have about 20 people attending. That doesn't mean 20 different businesses by means. We also had a few that probably may not make it, but definitely wanted the information, and we're going to entertain some sponsorships. We're finding from people that they're interested in some of the smaller ones, which is understandable. There are some really big ticket items on there, and those are really obviously for big corporations. But you know, it's a start, and we hope that we've made some traction, and I think we've done some good work on as much as for not having the experience in this area. Our team has done a good job. So I know some of you will be there tomorrow, and we'll have a short presentation going through the flip book, and then we will walk over for a tour, and they'll get to see the different spots that are, you know, the stadium, the courtyards, the maybe the planetarium, the auditorium, the black box, the big ticket kind of items. So
Yeah, word has gotten out in the community about all this, and I've had people approach, when can we buy a seat in the theater? When can we? So there's excitement around those smaller donations that families I know that are waiting excitedly to.
yeah, we're gonna try to
So-
get some more opportunities for
Right.
smaller, more manageable for people. We just, it just hasn't come yet.
Right,
What that
right.
will be,
And I
but
said,
we're certainly
be patient. It
yeah,
will come.
we're thinking about it.
It will come.
Yeah.
We're building it, and they will come.
Yeah.
I heard you were practicing your saleswoman skills as well at the concession stand.
I did help Marie. She looked a little overwhelmed. There were a lot of people coming at her. She didn't have help that evening, so I tried to help out there. Some hot dogs and wow, word gets out. Huh?
I think those little things should be noted, that the things that our superintendent does, I think
Wow.
those are worth noting as well.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Item I, board business. Number 1 is the license agreement for the Missing Mountain Brewing Company. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the license agreement between Missing Mountain Brewing Company, LLC, and the Cuyahoga Falls City School District.
So moved.
Would you like me to talk a little bit about this, or did you feel?
I think-
There was a second.
Oh, there was a second. Mr. Harrison.
Carrie seconded.
Sorry, I'm looking
I
for
heard a
it right now.
second. I heard a second. That's why I asked.
Yes, discussion, comments?
Does Dr. Salko want to
Yes,
start?
did you want to
I
start
thought
with
I'd say a few things if that would
Yes.
help you get this
Yeah,
conversation
absolutely.
started. So, as you know, this has been months-long conversations between the owners of Missing Mountain. I always get the name wrong. Missing Mountain and in our district, and a lot of back and forth, and really trying to get to a place that I felt comfortable that what we present for you this evening is something that will protect the district first and foremost, and make some profit for the district. It's not a large profit, it's some, and it's for your consideration. It's the general terms, just for the public, we have a parking lot that we have just built because of the expansion of the campus and having more, we're going to need more space for buses and for our staff parking. But as a result, that will be vacated and open in the evenings, and there's an establishment, restaurant/brewery, that is interested in using our space. So the terms are really, we wanted to start with a year just to see if this is something that's working, not working. It's in the evening, so 5 to 10 Monday through Thursday, 5 to 11 Friday, 12 to 11 Saturday, 10 to 8 on Sunday. It would be a monthly income to us is $1,000 a month, as well as $1,000 a year for maintenance. So it would maintain, we believe, that cost, and speaking with our maintenance folks, that would be substantial, enough amount to keep it, and we wouldn't have to really put any money in, so it'd be nice to help maintain it. They also would be offering $4,000 for cameras, so we would have cameras on site and access to those. There are still some pieces around signage that we have to figure out what those signs would say. We certainly have to approve them. There's some discussion about the cars being left overnight, and what would happen there, and we do have a procedure in speaking with the police that if a car is left 24 hours, we're notify the owner. If it's 48 hours, it gets towed. but we have to go through the police. We've learned to do that. There's a local towing company that does a lot of it, but will not work directly with us, anybody other than the police, basically. So there's a little bit to be worked out there, a sign that would have to be posted saying your car will be towed, etc. And then, most importantly, is really the insurance. So our insurance carriers had stated that it's important that the company themselves have more insurance than we do, which they have a 2.5 million per occurrence and then a 5 million aggregate. So our attorneys as well as our insurance felt that that was a good substantial amount. We do know, a caution I have to say, but I think we know that anybody can sue anybody for anything. So as much as we think we're protected with this, which our attorneys and insurance folks are comfortable with what they see, there's still always a risk, and I think they want the board to be aware of that while considering this lease. And I don't know if there's anything else you want me to add, or Mr. Brigatti, if there's anything you wanted to add. I tried to cover the points that you've shared with me.
No, I just, here for some questions. I did have some dialogue with Keith from Missing Mountain, and he's certainly appreciative of what we can do for him in his restaurant / brewery. And I think that our insurance asked us to make sure that their GL, general liability, covered more than we do. As Dr. Soto said, it's 2.5 per occurrence, 5 million aggregate. We have an additional million per occurrence and 3 million. But I do believe in the contract here, the way it was written, that it should all fall on the establishment. But as Dr. Soto said, since we own it, anybody can, I'm sure, bring a lawsuit if something were to happen on the grounds. The money that they're giving us for upkeep will more than cover costs. And the cameras is an added sense of security, which they're going to pay for also. So that's also a nice little addition to the contract.
I think that one, until it was just stated tonight, I guess all of a sudden it's giving me pause that anybody can sue anybody for anything piece is giving me a little bit of pause here. You know, I know that we have written into the contract that if anything isn't, you know, if it's not working out, it's not working out. It can be terminated by, you know, other sides, which is good that we have that in there. I don't know, just from a fiscal responsibility side, that it gives me a little pause of that, you know, and then on the other side, I'm like, well, anybody could sue us for anything at any time in any place that on any of our properties. Is this any different? I don't know. It's just, that's what's going through my head right now.
I grew up as my dad was an insurance adjuster, so I saw a lot of craziness. So of course I always go to a worst case scenario. I mean, always. And then my thought was, what if an employee parks there and say slips on the ice? Then, is it workers' comp? Then, or is it a liability issue? Like they, you know, I don't know. So if you use a workers' comp, then can you also use your liability insurance at the same time, or then anything over workers' comp would it be with our insurance?
It's out of my
Are you,
lane.
You know what I mean?
are you talking about like one of our employees or
Missing
one of
Mountain.
their
No,
employees?
Missing Mountain.
It wouldn't be, I mean, it wouldn't be our, like, workers' compensation.
No, they're workers' comp.
Yeah, but, I mean,
If their employee fell in our parking lot on the way to work, and could they use their workers' comp? Use workers' comp, you can't also use the liability insurance. So, I mean, I don't know, obviously,
that's
what are the chances of that happening, now that I've said it out loud? There was a lot of things in there that I'm glad made it to the contract. I could tell that there was a lot of consideration, a lot of time put into this, because there was a lot of things in here I was like, oh, I wonder, oh, there it is. Oh, I wonder, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of things in here I was really, like, that, yep, thank you for putting that in there, thank you for that. And then like with the plowing that was put in there, who actually is doing the plowing? It is us doing the plowing? Okay.
Yes, it would be us.
Cause it didn't specifically say us, it just says the dollar amount, and I assumed it was us, but I wasn't sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Pagati, we would be plowing it when, like we would regularly be plowing it any other time during
But then it
hours.
said also if you need
But-
extra plowing,
But then
it
they would have
lists-
to call
and then it
to
would,
have it done any other time.
and then it listed specifically how much that costs.
$180.
But then I also like that because then it puts the ball in their corner too.
Yes.
So if someone falls, like, well, why didn't you call us to tell us to plow it then? You know, so we don't have to automatically know that it needs plowed immediately. We're doing our regular plowing, but if it's extra, you think it needs extra, then we'll plow it, but you have to let us know. Which I can appreciate that is in there like that. Who actually drew up the contract? Was it us or them?
Originally,
I know they gave us one.
They gave us one, and we pretty much reworked most of it because it was.
Okay.
I can't remember words they use. Agreement versus addendum, something. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did a lot of
Or-
work on what they did.
Yeah.
Lindsay did a lot of work.
Yeah. We switched to license agreement. That is not where it started. I remember that from their attorney.
And I had a lot of questions about the vehicle being left overnight, and I think you kind of touched on it. Is that gonna be added in here then specifically?
I don't think so.
Because that's not in, it's not
Yeah.
in this agreement, isn't written in here like you just said. That's not how it's worded in here.
It was
Does it
more-
need to be?
It was more a conversation I had with Keith, and, he said, Joe, we've never had that happen. He said, but in the case that it would, he would take the license plate number down, try to go through the police to get a hold of the person, and then if after 24 hours, we would then have to call the police to have it towed, at that particular time, and I talked to Chief Norfolk about it. He had a little different explanation. I think he felt like we could contract with B&B. I believe that's who the city uses.
B&B, yeah.
And when I called B&B and spoke with them, they said they don't do any more private towing. So like we wouldn't be able to call them. We'd have to go through the police department, and the police department would call them. But I'm sure the police would come out and probably look at it to make sure that, why are we calling and just like, we really have not, since I've been here, any issues with people parking in our lots that we didn't know about, and we had to call police and ask them to have them towed.
If there were like one or two or maybe 3 cars that were left there, there's still enough room for our employees, so that wouldn't like hinder someone from coming to work.
Yes.
Okay.
He said, what he shared, without knowing, he would, maybe somebody who leaves a car there because they gotta ride home somewhere.
I mean, that
And usually the next day
happens.
they're back before 24 hours. He doesn't recall any time where he's had a problem where they've been there for more than 24 hours.
Well, and someone might leave with someone and not realize that gate's gonna get locked either, so.
Well, we're not locking the gate, or we are. They are at 11 o'clock.
They're
Who's-
gonna lock the gate and there's a combination lock on
Yeah.
it.
At the end of the night.
Yes.
That's listed here, or when they close, I would
Yes.
imagine.
So if they close on Saturday night, and what time do they open on Sunday?
10 o'clock.
Theoretically, somebody
Yeah,
could come
10
back to
o'clock.
get at their car at
At
8
8
a.m.
o'clock,
in the
yeah,
morning,
and not
and
be
they
able to
wouldn't be
get it out.
able to.
Yeah, that's something we're gonna have to probably have a little conversation about if this passes.
What I like is that we would get $16,000, cause I like when our district gets money through interesting sources, especially with that money for, cameras, which would be, more security. What I don't particularly like is the insurance and liability questions, cause I think there's a lot here, and I think, I am concerned about the fact that it is still our shared property, which it needs to be because we need to be able to use our lot because we could have a lot of field trips on a weekend, a lot of sporting events. We need the access to the lot, so we preserve that in here, but at all times that they're using it, it is still our property for our use.
Correct.
And so for liability reasons, that concerns me as well. And,
And I think they put that in there, it's a limited, non-exclusive right.
yeah, which
So I
we
do
need,
like that they put in there.
but it concerns me. The toe piece not being fully ready concerns me because there is specific language that you have to post on the sign. And then the other piece that really concerns me is not knowing what their signage is gonna say, because there are sensitivities in our community about associating our school district with alcohol, and
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
and I know that, and this is not the first time I've said that associated with this contract, so I know this is not a new thought, but that just concerns me because I just feel that with everything happening around education in the world and trying to make sure that education is focused on what is age appropriate for children, do we really want to put some signage on a property that might not be primarily focused on educating children, but a property that says Cuyahoga Falls City School District and that is owned by the Board of Education that could be in any way seen as promoting alcohol? And I just don't see that that's the direction that education is going in right now. And so it gives me consternation to make a decision that goes in the opposite direction of the directives that we are being given. We're getting so much that says focus on making sure everything is age appropriate, content appropriate for the children that you educate. And I think associating alcohol with one of our properties, as good as it might be for our community and our business community, that is very important to us and very, very good to us, is just not, I think, the direction that education is heading in. So for me, and for that reason only, it's just not sitting well with me, which I felt like I need to explain because I'm always usually supportive of our district getting money. Everybody knows Anthony knows that he likes when the district gets money. So if he's not going to support that, he's got to have some really good rationale to not be in favor of the district getting money, whatever amount that might be. Right, Ms. Toykoi?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think your main, for that specific issue, you think your main cause for concern is because it is primarily a brewery? I know it was presented, it's like a family restaurant. It's not really like a bar per se, like it's open bar hours. It closes early and it's like a kind of a family. People take their kids there, but it is Missy Mountain Brewery. If it were like Applebee's, it would, that's known for like just being a
I
restaurant.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
Because
I
it
think
is known for drinking, like you go there for, it's a brewery.
I get what you're saying. I haven't thought through that yet.
Right.
I think this just gives me some personal consternation around.
I dare say there's, in the late evening hours, probably more alcohol flowing at Applebee's than there is at Missy Mountain.
Well, there are a couple establishments in like a 1 mile area of there that,
Right.
that are known for alcoholic beverages. So it's not just, one location, but.
So what I'm hearing is, I don't think people are ready to vote. I don't know what the consensus is. Are we taking a vote tonight? Are there things we have more questions about that we need to get those answered and then come back?
It sounds like that to me, that we need to have those things answered.
Can we make sure we're for people that need things answered, can you make sure that you give those very clearly to the superintendent so that she can make sure she gets you those direct answers? Because I think that's very important.
Yes, what I don't want to happen is for this to just, I feel like this has been drawn out a while already at this point. And so I think that we need to come to a decision soon, maybe next board meeting even, where we get our questions answered. We come back together, and if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no, and then we move on. But I think in fairness to everyone involved in this, we need to come to a decision.
Agreed. But in fairness to us, we couldn't have made a decision before
No,
tonight.
no, I'm not
Okay.
saying, no, I wasn't saying
drawn
that
out. We-
against us.
This is the first time
I'm
we've
just
seen-
saying,
okay.
I'm just saying that I don't think that, I think that we need to come to a decision
I
sooner
agree.
rather than later.
Don't like
for
make it,
everybody.
don't draw it out.
So, yeah. So,
I did hear the one question, sounds like tonight, you wanna know what's gonna be on the signage. And we control that. It's not in, I looked, I didn't see that it says the signage that we approve, but it's our property, so I think that's probably implied. But Joe, maybe you can get with Keith and find out what, put your heads together about what the signs would say about no parking after, or what the hours are, and then the towing. So those two things, please. Right, that was one question I heard from you, Mr. Gomez? One of your concerns?
And I've never been in Missing Mountain. Is it, like a restaurant portion and a brewery portion, or is it how is that set up?
So, I mean, it's,
I'd encourage you just to stop in and
Yeah,
visit
check it out.
before our next meeting.
Okay, well,
That might help you understand.
restaurant bar style.
I've been a few times personally, so it's nothing
I now
against
have-
Missing Mountain personally.
I have now been in that parking lot several times, so.
He explained it to me that it was, he wanted to emphasize, when I met with him again months ago, but that it was a restaurant, more of a restaurant. He does not get a crowd that is rowdy,
I believe that.
consuming too much alcohol, acting a certain way. He has always prided himself on running a nice establishment where families can come and have dinner. That's what he shared with me. I, again, have not been, I've driven by it because I needed to see it myself a few
Yeah,
times,
well,
but yeah, I haven't been in it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And go visit Mrs. White, because it's really not, it's just down the street from her house. Go knock on her door afterwards.
I'll be here, my truck's in the shop, or soon will be, so.
We would need to make a motion to postpone to the February 12th meeting. I would make that motion.
Second.
And Mrs. Schaefer seconded.
then Mrs. Stokely, we call the roll?
Ms. Coco?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Ms. Schaefer?
Aye.
Thank you. Great. Item 2, discussion communications, which is great, to have this after our presentation that we just had with the strategic plan, because it kind of all goes together.
As I said when I brought this up, I think our communications are really strong right now. So this isn't like a critical conversation anyway. It's more in terms of when Ms. Stewart first shared these statistics with us about Parent Square. I was very surprised, so I thought it would be helpful. It's the only place as a board that we can discuss things, so I thought it would be helpful to discuss it. And so I thank her for giving us this information again. I do have one question. So it said, it talked about families, but then we know that a lot of our families have more than one student. So does family equal one student, or is family, because that, as we analyze these numbers.
That's a good question.
Okay, if you need to get back to us, that's fine.
I'll reach out to their tech team and find out what their definite, like, how
Yeah,
that
because
affects
that could be distorting the data for sure. I was like, because we know, we can all think of a lot of families that have more or many more than one student, and that could be making the data. But the one thing that really surprised me, I would say how few of our families downloaded the app. And I was really shocked by that. And I would have had no idea had Miss Stewart not shared this. So I really appreciated that. But then, I guess this is a question too. Because I always, like when I open things, it directs me to the app. And I read that like people can read it still. So if you have the app, it directs you to the app. But if you don't have the app, you're still able to read it. Okay. Because having the app, I'm just so used to that. So it's like a whole new world of these 40% of people that are utilizing our communication in this way that I just would have thought.
Is it just they just get a text message then and they just open the text message?
Well, not everyone.
No, they can.
Or whatever
it
they've
basically
chosen.
opens up in a browser.
Oh.
So when they get the email, and the majority of the people get I would say it's about 50-50 get a digest versus instant notifications, but I think, I have to go back and look, but I think it was like in the 80th percentile of people who are using and getting their information via email.
Yeah.
And they click in from the email.
87% get email. Only 15% of people get text. All this stuff, all this stuff blew my mind.
Yeah,
So I was
surprised about the text because I thought that they would really like to have like those quick mobile notifications.
Yeah. It was all very surprising to me because before we adopted this, one of the things that we heard so much from our community and especially our families was the desire for, and something we still hear from our families, let's be honest, is the desire for faster communication. But then we have these methods of faster communication, and so many of our families are choosing not to utilize it. So there's some sort of gap, and I certainly don't propose to have the answer to it, but there's some sort of gap in between what we're like the answer we're proposing and what it is that it seems that they want. And I'm not proposing that any of us have the magic answer, but it was just it's really surprising to me. But I think having this data is so helpful as we have these, because I'm sure all of us have heard that, like, want more communication faster, but then all of the ways that we've tried to offer that faster access doesn't seem to be the way that our families want that faster communication. I don't know. It's just something I've been grappling with as a board member and community member.
And when you first activate your account, I believe the default is every notification for the app, when you download the app, it automatically adds texting, the app alert, and email, and you have to physically go in and turn off things that you don't want. So people are like turning off app alerts and turning off text alerts. They're making that choice to just receive it via email.
I'm trying to think, I don't remember ever turning text alerts off, but I don't get text alerts from
I think I remember
But
they
I may-
asked me at the beginning, do you want to receive
maybe
via
they
text?
asked at the beginning. Maybe it
Yeah.
doesn't default to that. They may have asked at the beginning.
Do
And
you
I
wanna receive
probably,
email, text, or whatever? And I'm like, yes, sure.
I don't think I did
It
the
was
text
a
because
lot.
I was like 9 schools. I can't do that. So.
Well, yeah, it was a
I
lot.
just did my vacation.
For 9 schools.
I get like the important text alerts, like the push through ones.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I did go back
I
and
do
edit
get
those.
those. Yeah.
And then I get the digest, which I like. They come at like 6:20 every night. So I know
Yeah,
somewhere
I do have
around
those
7 p.m. every night I need to go check my email, or in the morning when I wake up and be like, why do I have so many emails? My school board
Yeah,
is
so
sent."
when we can send, there's 2 different kinds of alerts as well. There's urgent alert,
Yeah.
which will override everything and send everything to everybody. And that's like when we had, the phone lines were down last week or the week, yeah, last week, we sent out an urgent alert so everybody knew at that moment, and they got it over the digest and everything, but smart alerts aren't as emergent. So,
I will say, at the beginning of the year, or at the end of last year, I had a lot of people saying, I get so many alerts. I haven't had people complain about that this
But
year.
they probably turned them off.
Yeah, they figured it out, yeah.
And then they're wondering why they don't know about
Right.
something.
People are smart.
Cause I had a
Well-
family member ask me about the school calendar for next year, and they go, well, there's a rumor that we're gonna have a month-long Christmas break next year. And I said, but we already released the approved and released the calendar. You should have gotten a notification. I think there were at least two
and it's in
notifications.
Parent Square in their media files.
Yeah, I think there were at least two notifications
app,
about it.
though.
And she goes, I don't think I got, this person had the app.
Oh.
And she goes, I don't think I got anything about that. And I was like, you got it at least twice.
Yeah, it's in
Well,
there.
This is somebody I know personally, so I can share their story.
right.
This is I think
Well,
good stuff.
I put a star and I was excited with, in the strategic plan, the develop and implement of a survey to evaluate the communication preferences. Because I think that, you know, we're all like, we don't know why, what's this missing piece? I think the missing piece is, we're gonna need to ask them, and we're gonna need to figure that out, because obviously we're missing, there's a group of people that we're not reaching, there's a group of parents we're not reaching the way that we need to. And we need to get to the bottom of why, and like you said, we can have everything in the world, but if it's not what they want and they're not using it, then it's, you know, then it's not effective for our district and for them, so.
And we're not getting our message out. We're doing
No.
all of
We're
this
doing all
really
this
hard
work.
work in this strategic plan, and it's not reaching our families. They don't realize what all is going into educate their kiddo. And I think that's so important too, because it shapes the narrative in our community. If our families that have kids in our district don't understand what's going on every day in the schools that their kids go to, in the classrooms that their kids sit in, we just don't have a chance of communicating our message in this community. Because if they don't hear it and they don't get it, everything that we all are trying to say and communicate is not gonna work, so.
And I think that specifically, it's something that is probably something that we need to have like top priority going into the new 6 through 12 campus and everything going on next year. It's gonna be very important that people are getting the message of everything that's happening, like you said, you know, for the students and how that's affecting them, and then our financial, that's another big piece that we're gonna need to make sure is effectively being communicated and out of our mouths and our writings and not other people's misconceptions, so. It's gonna
That's
be
part of our strategic plan is building trust and transparency through our communications.
Because we're moving into the 612 building in January, so just Ms. Coco, as you think about dropping your kiddo off and that new 612 route every day, and how exciting that'll be every morning, and that first day of dropping your kiddo off, and that as everyone's trying to figure out that new parking strategy, it'll also be in the middle of winter, and it could
Yeah.
start snowing on that first day. And
Helping up all
so,
those parking lots.
And we'll be missing a parking lot.
We
and
might
when-
need to buy some cones.
and when they need to send out an alert that evening that says, well, we learned that unfortunately what we thought was going to be a perfect strategy for dropping off kids was not the perfect strategy, and starting tomorrow this is our new strategy, because we can all see that possibly happening.
And I've already had a call into the Parent Square, actually I did it last week, to talk about how do we merge our three different buildings. Well, technically it would just be merging the two middle schools into one building, and they will have to build us a new, quote, school. so it'll be a middle school, and they can do that, and because we already have the background set up with our syncing, it's just a matter of them flipping the switch on the date that we determine. So I've already been working on setting up that, and if we have preschool coming into the district, how that will work as well.
I'm sure Chris Shaw appreciates that.
So the parents that are on Parent Square now for Bullock and Roberts, it would automatically
Yep.
put them?
Yeah, so they will automatically, they'll just see that information, and it will already help because we've, their class rosters, nothing will change as far as teacher assignments. It's just a matter of changing it from Roberts Middle School to Cuyahoga Falls Middle School. So we just have to set that up this summer and have that ready to go, so.
I hadn't even thought of that piece, so thank you.
I've been thinking about it.
So there's a lot of pieces that.
That's what
We
we're gonna
discover
have.
more every day.
That's why we're gonna have that really great summer work session, Ms. Coco.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the teachers and, the schools are getting to use parents, well, like they're becoming proficient and they're using it to the,
I think they're better because I went around at the beginning of the year to each of the buildings during their staff meetings, and I gave kind of best practices based on feedback that we had from the survey last spring in the parent focus group. And I showed them some of the highlights of keeping things internally, like instead of taking families to external links like Sign Up Genius, using the forms and asking, like, if there's like, you know, class picnic and you wanna sign up to bring napkins and plates, there's a way to do that in Parent Square. And like we had, it's going on right now for the attendance initiative, sign your attendance form pledge and be entered into a raffle. And so I haven't looked, but I had, over 140 responses within the first 48 hours of people doing that. So they're engaging in that.
Can they do those forms if they don't have the app?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I am just speaking as a parent, I will say that there is more engagement from the teachers and the staff, I've noticed, than there was last year, that are utilizing it more.
Well,
for my
and the
students,
direct
but-
message feature has really, I think, been kind of a game changer, and especially the secondary staff has really noted a difference in participation with conferences and how they get families signed up for conferences, which is good.
And we're really excited about spring conferences as a Board of Education, just to throw that out there. Dr. Salico knows we're very excited to see how spring conferences go.
Yeah.
I am.
And I would just say, I think, you know, all of that goes to, for Ms. Stewart and all of our administration, just, you know, when we as a board, we vote on different things and support different things, and we hear a presentation, but how much all of you go out into the buildings and present on things to make sure that the staff understands them, and I think all of you have done that, and so we really appreciate the commitment that all of you take to make sure that it's not just something that we all understand, but that our staff really understands the tools at their disposal, and can utilize them. So we really appreciate the work that all of our administration does and going that extra step.
It's helped because they'll reach out to me, people will have questions, and I think now that they know, put a name with a face, I've had a lot of great questions like, hey, I wanna do this, how do I do that in Parent Square, and I love helping them, so they're thinking of ways that they can use it.
Any more discussion?
Very helpful,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, item 3, future agenda items. For our first meeting in February, we have the finance presentation from Ms. Stokely. And then the second, we've got the gifted presentation for the second meeting in February. And then, did we decide we were pushing CT to to the first in March?
I believe so.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that's what we're doing.
They should be in our drafts too.
Okay. And then we have an executive session for Ms. Stokely's review for the first, and then Dr. Selico before she leaves us for a little while at the second. Did anyone have anything to add? Item 2, committee reports. 6 through 12, construction core team. Ms. White, did you want to give a report or wait until our next meeting?
My battery's going down.
Okay,
so
that's
I
fine.
might wanna wait
All right.
and bring it time.
Good.
Thank you.
Athletics hasn't met. Board policy, do we have a meeting date set for that
No,
yet?
we need to set, a meeting because the one bill on bathrooms has an effective date in February, so we will need to, meet to get that. We had discussion in December, and so we'll have to finalize that soon.
Okay. Business Alliance Council.
Yeah, I got a quick update. We met last week. Sorry. Yeah, Ms. Palmisano gave a presentation on how members of the council can partner with CTE. She invited, them to come in the classroom, meet with students, guest speak, provide internship opportunities, stuff like that. She also mentioned the community hack she does, which is very interesting. Giving those students an opportunity to, solve that real world problem. So it was really cool hearing about that. Ms. Dudones gave an update on internships, mentioned some work-based learning experiences, high school tech internship opportunities, application process that are opening up so those folks can get involved in that. And then Ms. Scala and Mr. Dalka gave, and I thought it was going to be a short phone call and had to step out. It turned out to be a very long phone call, so I missed a lot of this. But they talked a little bit about some ways they're getting kids to start thinking about careers in elementary school. So it was a very informative meeting. Dr. C, did I miss anything in that?
That's it.
All right.
You got it.
Right. District Wellness did not meet. You meet at the end of the month? Monday. Financial Advisory didn't meet. Foundation and Alumni Association, that was myself, and Mr. Gomez attended to introduce me. And they do so many different things. They do a lot. But what they're focused on now is recruiting for starting a campaign with social media and brochures printed as well, to kind of beef up not only their members, but also looking to bring on new people onto their board and to be a part of that committee as well. So if anyone needs to re-up their membership, I have some nice little handy dandy cards that I can hand out to anybody that needs them. And then they're looking to hire someone. It's a very small stipend that they get every month to actually work and do community engagement with their donors and bring new people in as well. So that's happening. And then the deadline for all of the scholarships for our students is February 7th. So that's coming up fast. Legislative liaison, Mr. Harris.
Yes. I'll be brief. I know it's getting late, so I'll just breeze through this. 30 bills signed earlier this month by Governor DeWine. A couple of the ones that I had mentioned in the past, House Bill 8, the Parental Rights and Religious Instruction Policy one. I believe that districts have to adopt that policy by July 1st, I believe. Is that correct, Ms. Gomez? Yeah. So that, again, that requires school districts to create a mandatory religious release time policy, requires educators to out students' sexuality to their parents, and prohibits any sexuality content from being taught to students in kindergarten through 3rd grade.
The religious release time piece is effective April 8th.
April 8th,
Yes.
okay.
But the other policy thing is July
1st, okay. Thanks for that clarification. House Bill 206, student expulsion and health and safety threats, again, allows local boards to create a policy authorizing the superintendent to expel a student from school for up to 180 school days for actions the superintendent determines pose imminent and severe endangerment to the health and safety of pupils. Also in that, there's an increase in the amount of state money earmarked for the voucher program for private schools.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
But the superintendent can require them to get a psychological
Yes.
evaluation and take certain steps to make sure they're doing what they need to do before they come back to school.
And if they
And
don't,
extend it if they don't. So actually, I think that that is good policy because it gives the district the ability to make sure that a student gets what they need and gets the help that they need while protecting the school district. And I know our superintendent doesn't take expulsion lightly, so I'm gonna celebrate a little win there because I think that's good policy.
And a couple good pieces here coming from our own state senator, Christina Rogner, education and military enrollment reforms requiring districts to allow open enrollment of children whose parents are full-time active duty members of the U.S. military in Ohio. And then Senate Bill 211, which established a 988 suicide prevention and mental health crisis telephone line. And again, that's something that will be helpful for our students, having access to that when they're feeling a certain, feeling type of way. So. And then a reminder from last session, Senate Bill 104, Protect All Students Act. Again, that's the bathroom bill, and then also that was signed, last session by Governor DeWine, and then House Bill 432, the student data privacy and school issue devices as well, was also signed last week. And then, as Dr. Selko mentioned, she is going to be meeting with some of our state legislators, and I do appreciate that. And I told you this, I'm eager to hear how those meetings go and those conversations, especially as it relates to Speaker Huffman's latest remarks with our school funding plan being unsustainable, which is, funny coming from the proponent who is pushing for this bloated voucher program that has already sucked $1 billion of taxpayer monies away from our local school districts. So I am curious to hear what they say about that, so I'll be bugging you after.
Yeah.
They also passed a law, it was a provision in House Bill 315, which was like an omnibus bill, and part of that requires that going forward on all new student IDs and in student planners that we put the 988 suicide crisis line. So I also want to celebrate that one as well, because I know personally there are some things that I'm not super thrilled that passed, but I like to celebrate wins, and I think that's a really great thing to incorporate stuff like that and things like that that help our students. But I also just would like to add that if we are able to give millions of dollars of public money to build private schools,
That's right.
To make universal vouchers in the state of Ohio to the extent of billions of dollars, to give additional money to the payment in lieu of transportation, and to make the school transportation mandates on local school districts even more stringent, then I think the fair school funding formula is more than sustainable.
Yeah,
because
right,
I just identified 4 great places to cut from if it's not.
Absolutely.
So.
That's right.
Just to add, I did on the transportation last legislative meeting that in the advocacy group that I'm with, we had 6 or 7 Democratic House and senators come. We didn't have any Republicans attend that we were anticipating, but my presentation, I was assigned transportation, and one of the bits of information I presented was the in lieu of, the cost that we're incurring, and some suggestions that our group had moving forward. But how big of a challenge it's presenting for us financially, particularly, and on top of bus drivers, cost of buses, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Well, and that's telling right there. I mean, the party in power needs to be at the table if we want to get things solved. So it's a disappointment that they didn't make it, but they're going to be hearing from me, that's for sure. So.
But I appreciate the fact that we have a Republican senator and a Democratic senator, a Republican rep and a Democratic rep that represent our district, and they're all willing to meet with our superintendent. Right. So it's a good first step.
I thought so too. I was very grateful that they accepted.
That's it.
Item 5, comments. Mr. Harris, you're up first.
Oh, okay. As always, another congratulations to tonight's top Tigers, Ms. Clemens, and thank you to Ms. Stoikoi, Dr. Selico, and everyone involved in the Capes and recognizing us for the work we're doing. To my fellow board members, thank you for all you do. I couldn't imagine being, doing this with any other group of folks, and you guys are are incredible. So I appreciate it. I learn from you guys every day. And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Selico. You mentioned it earlier. It's not easy doing what you do, and it's definitely not easy having to call these days for school. I slept through the night, but like you said, I know you did, and it is a very anxious thing to do. But thank you for that.
you.
So, and then I want to give a shout out to Ms. Hausman. Thank you for in the Friday notes mentioning your full day building visits. I think it's really cool what you do there, especially highlighting the positive interactions you're having. I think it's very important. So thank you for sharing that. And then Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. There was a lot of things happening Monday, but we recognize Dr. King for everything he's done for us, and gives us that vision to look forward, everything from politics to education. We appreciate his his dedication to this country and to the movement. So thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Shake?
Thank you. I want to thank you for the appreciation for Board Appreciation Month. Mr. Gomez said, that's one of the things that is a little bit unsettling sometimes to accept that kind of hoorah. I do love the cape, I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably wear it, probably. And got some artwork here from some Preston students. These little minis. That's. I drove by DeWitt and it said, "Thank you to the Board of Education." And when I drove by at first, I was like, "Did I miss something? Was I supposed to be somewhere? Did I miss a presentation? Did I?" Because I surely missed an event at DeWitt. And then it dawned on me it was for celebration for Board Appreciation Month, and I thought that was so nice. It did catch me off guard because I forgot. I did also get to see. Oh, sorry. I did get to go to the wrestling meet. It was the Stowe versus Falls wrestling match. It had youth and high school wrestlers, and also alumni night. I am not a great wrestling spectator. It is a nail biter. It is so difficult to watch. These athletes, they are. It is so much. They are aggressive. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but they just put all of their energy into trying to get the points and pin their opponent. It's a lot. When I went home that night, I felt like I had maybe fallen down the steps. I'm like, why am I so sore? It's because I was tense for like 2 hours. Just my muscles were so tense watching all these matches. I went specifically to watch a friend's sons, and they both won, so it was a good night. And shout out to the Campeses. And one of them played with injury and still won. The mental energy that they have to focus to the bodily pain, I don't know. Same thing with cross country, I don't get it. It's got to be so much work. And then we also got to see the All-City Band concert, and I was just slightly tickled because they played a couple songs from Wicked, and when middle school was announced to play Wicked, there was a student like in the front section, and she's like, she squealed.
And Miss Stewart was performing as well. I saw Miss Stewart from across the way.
And I think was someone crying? Did you, Dr. Selico, did you have to pat someone on the back?
Oh yeah, well she was also very nervous, a little nervous.
But I was like,
but excited and nervous.
That musical has touched so many lives.
Yes.
It is a phenomenon. But yeah, it was a great performance. I very much enjoyed it.
It was good.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. White, I don't know if she's still with us. I know her battery was dying, so. Up next is, yes, I went to the All-City Band concert as well. Broadway theme, amazing. Everybody did so good. It was such an awesome thing. I'm excited to go to the one-act plays this weekend is coming up. And then, of course, the naming rights tomorrow. I'm keeping it short and sweet. Yes, Ms. Houseman, thank you. Mr. Harris stole my thunder about the building visits, but we always seem to do that with each other. And since Ms. White is not on, I know she would be thanking for all of the writing that was included in the Friday notes with the student writing success and the other one too, that the content area writing examples that were in there. So those were really cool to read through, and thank you for including those. And I know that Ms. White would be, she would have mentioned that, but I'm mentioning it in lieu of her. So, and that's all I have. Mr. Gomez?
I know Power of the Pen was this past Saturday. I know one of our families that many of us know didn't make it because of the snow, but it's just exciting to see that happen again. And I'll mention Power of the Pen for Mrs. White as well. We'll all carry some of her water for her tonight. And then say thank you for the recognition that I do still resent, because they gave me a nice award at the Alumni Association, like a little paperweight, and then I got this tonight, and I'm like, I'm just trying to have a little more like school board work-life balance. I'm not like, I feel like I'm dying. Everyone's like, thank you for your service, thank you for your service everywhere I go like this month, and I'm like, not dying, everyone. I'm just trying to like take a deep breath for a year, but I appreciate it all nonetheless. And then on Saturday, I went to the Lego event at the library. It was wonderful. I took my oldest nephew with me, and it was really impressive. And seeing some of the builds that our students did, and my oldest nephew's all excited because he is excited to enter next year as well. And that's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez. Item J is executive session. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1, it is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session to consider the employment and discipline of a public employee or official.
Second.
Ms. Stokely, will you call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Ms. White? Ms. Coca, oh, sorry. Ms. Coca. Just like going
Aye.
down here.
We're entering into executive session at 8:39 p.m. There will be no action after the meeting.